Welcome to the Arcadia Roundtable Gaming Podcast, where we've been gaming and podcasting on the Arcadia Roundtable. I'm here, as always, with Chris Grannell and Darge Knight. Chris, it's been a week. How you been?
I'm not been too well, so hence me missing last week, which I apologise for. So I still can't shake what it is, so I might have to mute a bit while I have a coughing fit. But other than that, when I've been feeling all right, I've kind of put Skull and Bones down for a bit. People will be happy to know because I got to the end game and I'm waiting for the next season now. So I've picked up the mantle of Dragon's Dogma 2 and I'm about, I think, 42 or 46 hours in or whatever, and it is a masterpiece of a game.
Perfect. I was going to say that's a somber start to the show. Very sad. It's just like a poorly Chris. But no, he's put down Skull and Bones, so it's not all bad news. The week has had its upsides. It's had its silver lining. We'll get onto that. We'll talk a lot about Dragon's Dogma, sure, because there's not a whole load of news to go over this week. We've got bits and pieces, but mostly on this show, we're going to talk about my favourite thing, which is the games themselves, because that is always good conversation. But before we do, George, tell me how you're doing and what kind of marketing has just been inflicted upon you.
Yeah, I'm all right. The marketing, like I've said it on there a couple of times. Maybe Gamsley was right. I just see an advert for Xbox Game Pass on YouTube. I think it's the first time ever. So I just went, oh look, it's coming up. But I've been all right, mate. I think because obviously where we did our last minute Wednesday show, the later one, my body's still trying to catch up, but I think I told you I was on Horizon. Horizon Zero Dawn. I beat that. Don't ask me much about the story because I said to the boys in Discord, I wish, because the story, I picked it up like 2/3 of the way through, so I sort of didn't really remember it and then just beeline through it. But, you know, I've said enough about Decima. Like, it's a beautiful game. And it was fun. And then now Jedi Survivor, that had to have some modding work done to it on the PC side because the port is just a fucking embarrassment on EA and Disney's part. You know, I don't know obviously how much of a part Disney have in it, but at the end of the day, it's their IP. that they license out. You would like to think that across the board it'd be a quality product, but EA are just like, fucking get hold of that. That's all you're going to have, But there was a mod for it, and I whacked it on top of it, and it made a big improvement. And it's a good game. It's like for someone like me who's not like a big Souls player, it's got those mechanics, but it's a lot more easier. It's still like can be different. Obviously, I've gone in on the middle level, like the normal difficulty level. Sometimes get a bit frustrated, but there are ways around it. But yeah, I really like that Jedi series. So yeah, I should have that done tomorrow, I reckon. But yeah, that's about it, mate.
That is it. That was all the topics that we had for the show today, just reeled off in one go. So even everyone that's here, it's all familiar names so far, which I like. That's a good thing. All people from around the Discord. So thank you again for coming through and talking to us. Let's loop back to what you were talking about there with Dragon's Dogma 2, Chris. Mm-hmm. No, actually, first, because nobody asked me how I'm doing. I'm doing fine, everyone. Thanks for your concern.
How are you doing?
It's been a...
It's all good. Get so used to these these podcasts, where it's like you're the guests, but obviously with us, we're like a collective, but trying to have in the convo. But yeah, what have you been playing?
You're the Graham Norton of the podcast.
Oh, thanks for that. I'm going to take that as some kind of compliment. I'm not sure it was intended as one, but we'll go with it. No, I'm good. It's been a stressful day I'm reconfiguring. I'm always reconfiguring everything that I'm doing around Discord and around streaming and all the rest of it. And it didn't all entirely go according to plan today, but we've got some nice things going. We've got our little review space on Discord, and Kev has put the first review of RoboCop in there, which I'm liking. That kind of stuff is good fun. It's going well. So thank you for that as well. Games I'll get to after we've got into the games that you're playing, because I like to dig into that, drill into the games a little bit more. So Chris, you said you've been on Dragon's Dogma 2 for 46 hours. That means you've finished it twice?
42 or 46. I need to
something like that.
I need to look at my Steam. But so I mean, Darge knows this. I'm not just like a mainline story gunner or whatever. So I'm doing every single mission that comes up. I'm doing all the side quests. Do
you do that
quests,
like proper as a compulsion? You have to do everything, or is it just that you like exploring a bit?
Probably a bit like you. Try to tick everything off in Final Fantasy Rebirth or whatever it is that you're
For
doing.
me, it's exclusive to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like I play most games with a map, and they upset me, and I try and cut off. Like I identify what's good content and what's bad content, and try and filter it off as best I can. But that's why I'm asking. Like,
yeah, I think that's what I like about Dragon's Dogma is it's not that kind of like Ubisoft or here's a load of pins and stuff like that. And obviously you stumble across side quests and different quests when you start to explore. But yeah, I've just loved exploring the whole kind of map and the land and the setting, and saying to Darge the other week and some of the other guys as well, that you just come across these kind of like epic monster battles and stuff and choose whether to chip in or not. I've actually been playing it. I don't know if you're supposed to play it that way. There's obviously one mission in there where you need to be a certain vocation. Obviously, I won't give any spoilers away. So you need to switch to that vocation if you want to do that side mission. But I've been switching the vocations up as I've played. I've been maxing a vocation out and then going, actually, I want to give this a go. Or so I started off as a fighter, then I became a lover. I started off as a fighter, then I moved over to archer, which is like an awesome vocation. If anyone's not played as an archer, it's amazing. Like, and then I did a load of missions. So obviously, there's some other vocations that are not available at the beginning. Don't over to the spoiler territory, or people will have looked at it. So there's like a magic archer, which I think is like it's got elven roots or something like that. So I'm playing as like a magic archer at the moment and leveling that up. But I think a lot of stuff that I've read on the magic archer, it just seems to be so OP. It's like some of the things that I've unlocked to the magic archer. I've been having like fights with like coming across like ogres and stuff, having a fight. And there's can't think what it's called. I'll find out what it's called. But there's basically this attack begins with an M or something like that. And I think it uses a bit of your life to use this attack. But it basically powers up the shot, powers up like 6 or 7 hit points on an enemy. And then it just does this big like flash of light, and then all of the like thousands of arrows come from the sky and just kind of just hit it. But I'm like I'm eliminating like ogres in like one shot and stuff like that. I'm just like, is it supposed to be this powerful? So I don't know. We'll see whether they'll curb that a little bit. But obviously they're not really that quick at putting updates.
I've heard a lot of people say that a lot of the vocations end up feeling really, really powerful in a way that hopefully makes them feel fun and not cheesy. But are you finding that you need to, or that you benefit from leveling up multiple of them? Like, do you get to keep any attributes or stats from your magic archer when you go on to something else?
Yeah, so you can only use certain like weapons and armor types and stuff like that. But obviously you have those all unlocked. And I think as you power up the vocations, the ability to switch. So I think like the ultimate vocation, which people are like trying to aspire to, is called like warmonger or warfarer or something. Where I think that's just a big OP type of fighter and can use like double bladed weapons and stuff. Almost like Darth Maul style, so like a spear with blades on either side. But yeah, to be honest, I'm enjoying switching it, and it's a bit weird. Obviously, that kind of like shot works on like the larger enemies, but um, stuff like the kind of they're called like they're not called salamanders, but they're called something like that. They're like the like scaly lizards and stuff like that. Obviously, I remember Darge saying you start to come across like ones made out of stone and stuff like that. Like even with this like OP magic archer, those fights are like really hard when like 5 or 6 of them gang up on you. So it doesn't feel too OP. But I'm not sure if you start to unlock different weapons and stuff, it does become really OP. But as I say, I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying exploring the lands. Obviously there's times where you've got to get like an ox cart and stuff to just shorten some of those journeys. I've had a load of like pork crystals, so I've put them in like key areas which I keep revisiting. But I'll just look on the map and go, I haven't been there, and off I go, and just camp on the way and stuff like that, and just see what you come across. So I found like a griffin nest. I came across like a dragon having like a big fight with this ogre thing or whatever, and just watched it from a distance. And I think all of these like little experiences are kind of, there's obviously some key scripting, but like my brother in the same area didn't come across necessarily a dragon having a fight with an ogre and stuff like that. So it's unique to your experience. It's like, well in Capcom because it's a fucking great game. Like,
what we saying last
the CPU thing.
What I was saying last week, isn't it? He said like when we did the Wednesday, and I finished it. Like Chris, you summed it up when you said, "I don't know if you're meant to do it like this." You know what I mean? And like there is a quest line, but it allows you to go wherever you want and discover whatever you do. You know what I mean? And that, like I said, that's the beauty of something like this. Is all of our playthroughs will be unique in a way, like people were saying here about the overpower, and I'm sitting here like that last boss for me, it was hard work for me, but some of the guys in the Discord got up into the higher levels, like 50s plus, and then went there. I went there a little bit prematurely early, and I was a Mystic Spear hand, and that fight was like, and then I've got other people going, no, we pissed it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, nah. So that's the beauty of the game. It's unique to how you go about it. But that's all.
For our American friends, we pissed it. You can probably pick it up from the context. But...
breezed it, yeah. Breezed it.
Did you do the Sphinx or whatever it was, like riddles and stuff like that?
No, so again, like when you hear these stories after, like your experience and things like that, it makes me go, like I've said it in Discord, once they patch it up, if they patch it up, which I'm sure they will, and then we go back to it, Archer never appealed to me in the whole playthrough. I weren't even really recruiting archers to be with me, apart from them fucking harpies in the air. They were doing my head in, so I made sure I always had an archer to sort of deal with them. But after hearing you like blow up about the archer, The Sphinx,
awesome.
I have reasons to go and replay that game, and that's a good thing. It
Yeah.
has replayability for me, so provided they patch it up and do a good enough job of it and all that, I'll eventually go back there anyway and have another go. Yeah.
I was meaning to, if I'd sorted my shit out today properly so that I could have streamed a bit earlier, I meant to go from Bulwark to Dragon's Dogma 2 and get some of that in, but my afternoon ate itself away. Chris, are you at all driven by the kind of central narrative? Is that pulling you forwards, or are you not bothered by that, just exploring?
Yeah, no, I think the central narrative's good. I was kind of obviously early on in the game, you get those kind of 5 or 6 missions or whatever, and I was kind of mindful to leave a couple while I was doing some side quests and obviously exploring like the slums in in the main kind of city and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I think all of it's got me quite gripped. I mean, as I say, even some of the missions I'm coming across now, and obviously you have to do like X, Y, and Z before it'll trigger. And even though like the really nothing required, it's kind of like, oh, actually, that's a bit of a mystery that I want to find out, and this is a bit of a mystery. And there was obviously there's quite a few missions where you're walking around, the main castle and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I don't know whether it was required, but I like bought castle guard, with armor, and put that on, and like no one interrupted me at any point. Whereas like my brother was saying he got like attacked and things like that. So it seems like putting that guard armor on does give you kind of free reign around the castle and stuff like that to explore.
Hmm.
So little things like that are great. Obviously, we all know it's like CPU limited in certain areas and stuff like that. I've been really fortunate. You can don't get me wrong, you can see it in some of those areas, but I'm kind of potentially getting drops down to just above like 60 or 65 at times. So it's not really having that like super jarring effect. There's like a little bit of a volcanic island. It's really odd as well because there's a bit not volcanic island, but there's a bit of a volcanic setting or whatever. Um,
Hmm.
and there's this one tiny path that you walk down. It's not even filled with NPCs or anything, and it just goes to shit. And then you get out
Yeah.
of the path, and it goes like super smooth again. So there's a few little things that they need to sort out. There's obviously a game crashing bug when you go into the guilds and in the vocation menu. You can scroll down, and as it tries to play like the video of what you're unlocking, it'll just crash, gone. Um, but your way around it is to like go into it, like acquire a skill, back out, and then go into it. It kind of works then. Um,
Hmm.
but it's stuff like that. The CPU stuff, CPU limited stuff, is a bit different because obviously you see some of the interviews and they've gone, we've got NPCs and they're kind of doing this, that, the other. And I think, like Alex Battaglia was saying, um, they've obviously it's the first time they've used that engine for kind of like a open
Big
world,
open world, yeah.
epic. And he was saying what he thinks is like they got to a point where they were like, shit, the NPCs are causing us issues because you can have all these conversations that have different arcs and stuff, which is probably why, even though the NPCs look like they're not doing anything like Watch Dogs or Assassin's Creed and that runs fine, they've obviously it's just the way the engine works at the minute. Um, but it looks like it was so close to release that they just went, "Do you know what? We're just gonna have to have NPCs like spawning in, and you even bump into them and stuff, and you're like, the fuck's going on?" Um, that type of stuff's probably going to be a bit harder to fix, and hopefully they will at some point. But the stuff where like the vocation menu crashes, I mean, just get it fucking sorted. It's clearly
Yeah.
crashing while it's trying to play like a video of what the vocation is and stuff, and it's just like fix that side of things. But it's not having an impact or an effect on me enjoying the game or exploring and stuff. And I think that's the sign of a good game. I can see me put like 200 hours into this, plus like I've with Skyrim over the years and that. So that's a good sign for me.
That's my plan for it as well, and yet I'm still only like 4 or 5 hours in at the moment. Capcom did drop it like just before their fiscal year closed, which is a little bit of a shame, but you have to suspect that's the reason they didn't delay it any further to fix those bits
Yeah.
and pieces. Listen to the wind blow, watch the sunrise. Okay, sorry, I just saw over your shoulder.
That's all right.
Uh, mhm.
Like Fleetwood Mac lyric. Yeah, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shane.
So
Sure.
Okay,
I win.
Yeah. Darge has won, apparently. Darge, we're on to your game. Now, Chris, have you played anything else this week? Before I do get on to Darge, have you played anything besides Dragon's Dogma 2? Or have we exhausted your gameplay for the week?
No, I mean, the only other stuff I've been doing is just like a bit of research and other stuff. So I've been playing a couple of mobile, so like Idle Theme Park Tycoon or something and something else. I've just been looking at. So, but Dragon's Dogma is the proper, full-on gaming experience on PC that I'm playing.
Mm-hmm. Your idle games count, Chris. You're a real boy. Darge.
Yes, mate.
Let's go back over the games that you played because you whizzed over them real quick earlier. So you've done Horizon Zero Dawn now, but not started Forbidden West, right? And you
No.
No, that's all right. That's all right. It's not a hurry. You got loads of stuff to play. I'm not
I was just
judging
going
you.
to say no. I haven't. Obviously, like we all laugh and joke in the Discord about me having FOMO and like, see something shiny and I levitate to it. Like obviously I watched one episode of the Fallout show and then I'm buying fucking New Vegas and all this stuff. But with Forbidden West, obviously me and you spoke about it last week a little bit, and you said like, there was issues with Forbidden West on a narrative basis, and stuff like that. And then Dave Mack, our wee Davey, he done it. He done a bit of it over the weekend, and he was like literally like, this, that, and the other. He wasn't really enjoying it. That don't put me off because at the end of the day, I'll spend the money because I want to see it. You know what I mean? Because I've heard it's a level up. And it's the latest game on Decima, so I definitely want to check it out. But yeah, it's kind of like going to be a wait for a minute one,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a rush to play it.
Nah.
But you said, so Zero Dawn, you didn't particularly get into the story or didn't pay attention to it or whatever else it may be, but what did you like about it? What kept you going to the end? You just
I loved it. I really I know I've not, I'm fairly new to this sort of thing now with Death Stranding and that, but I really like the world building that comes out of Decima. So it feels like a real world. You know what I mean? Like when you're playing Horizon, and you're running about and you've got those robotic animals just grazing in fields and, this, that, and the other. You feel like it's not a dead world, and Death Stranding as well. For all the, walking simulator, which it is, there's still the real threat. There's the weather elements, there's all this stuff, and they're just good worlds to be in, and, I keep saying, I got pulled on it last week. I'm trying not to do it. But, yeah, so with Horizon Forbidden West, I've been told that the levels have gone up with the engine. So that's the reason. As in regards to the story, again, I will hold my hands up. It's probably a me issue, picking up a save that was 2/3 of the way through, kind of forgetting what was there. I even said to the guys in Discord, it probably served me best to get it through, and then just go back and watch like YouTube footage of the summary, like of the story and everything, and get it. Because even though I finished the game and weren't really fully connected with the story and everything else, it weren't like I walked away from it and went, like, shit. You know what I mean? I still enjoyed the combat in the game. I enjoyed the mechanics in the game. I enjoyed being in the world. It was just that I lost the narrative through picking up where I left off, so to speak, But yeah, just I liked it, and then obviously, like I say, going in from there, I went on to Jedi.
Slow down.
All right, go on.
We haven't done. We're still on Horizon.
Right.
So, I like the world in the end. Like creatively, I like the concept of it, but I found the worlds themselves to be kind of polar opposite to Dragon's Dogma. Like Chris was just saying that you can wander around in Dragon's Dogma and you'll find a dragon attacking an ogre, and somebody else might go around that same corner and get nothing of the sort. In the Horizon games, it's very much curated and everything occurs around the player. Like it's a very different feeling, and I'm not knocking it as such, but like you can tell there's almost activity every like X space apart, just very deliberately handcrafted. And I like the Dragon's Dogma approach, where you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what's going to emerge, and it might be different next time you're in this area. Horizon is a lot more scripted, a lot more curated, but very, very pretty.
But I would say, like, Dragon's Dogma, for someone who hasn't really like played a great deal with these types. You know, it's Dragon's Dogma is a level above for me in regards to that. You know, wander off and have all different encounters and the differing stories. Like I say, I could speak to a load of people who played Horizon Zero Dawn, and we could all have a fairly similar encounter of how that game played out. Whereas, as we've seen in our community alone, you talk to people, and we've all had different experiences within that world, and that's a testament to Capcom. Like Chris said, you know, they've created the perfect sandbox world there, where you've got a quest line that you can stick to, but the game also says crack on. You know, if you want to go out there and look at every inch of this world we've created, go and do it. And there's stuff to do and encounters to be had. I mean, I've seen some clips, like I said to you, I see a guy fighting an ogre, like one of the armoured ones, and just as they was getting towards the end of beating it, a griffin lands, and then they're going to roll into that battle. And yeah, it's just Dragon's Dogma really is a quality.
Well, that's what I was one of my experiences the last couple of days is I walked around the corner, and obviously you see those like little bubbles when something's asleep, and it normally tends to be those like lizard things or whatever. So I walked around the corner, it was like, one of those lizard things attacked, so it got me bow out, like strafed around the hill to attack it, and it was a fucking like drake just asleep there, and I just went like bow in. But fuck this, and just went like
Run
follow
away.
me to my pawns and just snuck around the thing while it was just kipping, curled up like a little pussy cat on a hill. Got around the corner, got attacked by some trolls and then some bandits. And then exactly as you just described, then this like griffin just went, meh, just swooped in, landed, and just started having a fight.
It's quality.
It's like, what the fuck is this?
It's quality stories to be told, you know, like with games that, like you said, with the Horizon or a single player linear game, everyone's going to have and go, oh, do you remember that bit when you come across matey? Yeah. But with Dragon's Dogma, it's like, well, this happened with me, but this happened to you, and that's the beauty of that game, is it's unique to everyone and how they play it. You know,
it's like all the porn chatter as well. It's like not like porn, pawns as in your pawns. All that chatter as well, where like if you do something or you fight in a certain way, it's like I had like some of the pawns with me going, it's a masterful tactic. I'm going to tell my master about this and stuff. And all it was is I basically shot a harpy in the air, and it flew off down into the sea and just died. And it was like, what a tactic and stuff.
I love them because they're like they're weirdly validating the pod so far. I'm only like 5 hours in, but they find the good in your strategy, even if there wasn't one. They're like, oh, this is an unconventional party, but it could work. Yeah, you're doing good. I like the way you're thinking. Yeah. Thank you, porn buddies. They make me feel good about things.
My Aslan, because I had him as a thief at the start of the game and ranked him up a little bit. And then I switched him to a sorcerer. And honestly, I kept him as a sorcerer, but throughout the rest of my playthrough, he kept saying, I think I was much better served to you when I was a thief. You know, like, and he kept banging on. And I was like, mate, you ain't going to be a thief again. So you got to let it go. Do you know what I mean? But he just kept banging away at it. Like, but yeah, no, it's good. You know, the game's unique, you know, just in everything that it does. It's great. I love it.
It's like Poison Cop, Rich is saying there, the little fist bumps and high fives and stuff after, or low fives after a fight. It's just like quality. I did have a porn character, which must have been from a bit of a pervy player though, because she kept saying to me, "One of my previous masters just had all female porns." I was like, "Is that Darge?"
I bet there's a lot of gamers who are having an all female guild running around with them. But yeah, no, it's great.
Right, before I let you go on to your Jedi Survivor, I'm going to do a game, because I've got some games as well, and I don't want to reel them all off in a row. It'll just be me speaking for ages.
Talk about that one that you were playing before.
I'm going to talk about the one that I was just playing beforehand on the stream, and I've only put an hour into this, and I didn't really know what was going on, so it's going to be quite harsh. But I'm going to talk about the Falconry Chronicles, Bulwark, the Falconry Chronicle. which is a quite chill building game of a sort. Yes, episode 13 also Civ 2, Final Fantasy Rebirth, and Final Fantasy 14, and many other games. But today I was playing Bulwark, and I didn't have a clue what was going on. But it is remarkably simple. So what does that say about me? Eh? What does that say about me? It's remarkably simple, and I couldn't do it. It's got a really impressive control scheme to it. You play it on a controller. You can play it on a keyboard and mouse, but they recommend doing it on a controller. Steam even pops up saying you should play this on a controller. Thank you, Darge. You can read that out with your soundboard if you want. That's throwing me off completely. So, Evil Containment Wave aside, you play the whole thing with very few buttons on the controller. So you're building a really complex city. You've got all of these little structures. You build little walkways and towers. You can expand the towers up. You can build foundations around them. You can expand them outwards. You can build harbors. You can do all of this stuff. But pretty much everything is on the X button to build. So you use A to select whatever building you're playing with. And then depending on how far you draw your little reticule away from it, you're either building upwards, downwards into the foundations, or building new towers off of it and spiderwebbing them around. Just trying to get resource flowing around your base to expand it and let you do more and more and more. The problem that I had with it is it's not supposed to be very objective driven. You're supposed to be able to just play it and do whatever you want. But at the start of the game during the tutorial phase, and this is on me, I didn't actually listen to any of the tutorial stuff because I was in the streaming lounge talking to people. But despite it being not an objective driven game, there were very clear objectives at the start. And I just found myself kind of stuck going, well, I've got these 2 buttons that do everything, but I'm not sure where I need to press them now to do the next step of progress to expand to the next stage of the game. And I think I was just kind of getting the hang of it before I had to come and talk on the show. But it is quite cheap. It is reasonably pretty, and it is quite unusual. So I'm not sure if I recommend it or not yet. I need to play it some more before I figure that one out, but it's an interesting little game. Now, ask me your pertinent questions on Bulwark, the Falconry Chronicle, or... Yeah, I'm sensing no questions, so we're going to go on to Jedi Survivor next. People in chat, though, if you have any questions about how it works or whatever, clearly I am the expert on that game after my hour of faffing about.
War. As you always, you declared war and just...
I did declare war, yeah.
Set fire to the city.
But I wasn't even there for the setting fire. I went to a little outpost, and it says, well, we're not very friendly, and you can negotiate with them or whatever, and the bottom option was declare war. So of course I declared war, and then war happened, but I wasn't very aware of how I was winning or what progress I was making, and I got a little bit confused and went back to my base. And then I was like, no, I think we're still at war, and I started going back to the base where it was happening, and it said, you won the war, great victory. Yes, I'm the best at games, but I didn't really know what was going on. Yeah, it does have
at least we
some kind of defense building. Yeah, as long as I win, that's what counts, right? That's why I like the game. Said I was good. But yeah. Anyway, it's an interesting little thing. It's at the second Falcon game. It is FTW. It's connected in that it's made by the same guy and it's set in the same world, but it's entirely different in terms of the kind of game it is. You're not flying around on a Falcon shooting stuff. Same kind of art style.
Do you reckon it's going to continue to release different genres in the same world? Do you reckon that's going to be his USP?
I don't know where I heard, and it might have been from him directly, or it might have been entirely separate, but it was planned. There's a third genre that he wants to add to that world. So the next game is another genre.
What do you reckon?
Which you'd have to think was like a boat, but I don't know.
RTS. This version of Skull and Bones.
Well, this one's kind of like RTS would have too much overlap with this, I think, because this is kind of RTS,
FPS.
in its own way.
Like a full-on Doom. Just
yeah. The world is water, so.
You can. It's like Kevin Costner.
It's Doom where you drown.
Water.
Oh, I hope you don't go under. I don't want it to be like a Subnautica. But yeah, Waterworld could be what's coming. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be a little while till we see, I suppose, because he's still putting quite a little bit of effort into supporting that one and adding little bits and pieces to it. We could just ask him, and I'm sure he wouldn't tell us. He does have his publisher obligations as well. So
might just get us to sign NDAs and then tell us, but we can't talk about it. But we know.
Yeah. We could be leakers, influencers,
insiders.
That's the word.
Henderson.
Darge,
Yes,
Let's move
mate.
it back to your game. Let's move it back to Jedi Survivor.
Yes.
Jedi Fallen Order. No, Survivor. Fallen Order was the
Survivor.
first one, right?
Complain
Tell
about the
me,
Yeah,
FPS.
yeah. Hey,
don't tell
what?
me about the performance
I
because
said he's just going to complain
that's
about the
well
FPS.
established. He's not. He's going to brag that he fixed it with his modding prowess and his technical wizardry. Tell me about the jump though, Darge, because you obviously played the first one at some point, or you wouldn't be playing the second. Like, is there much of a jump between them?
I really enjoyed the first. But it was a bit ago, and I played it on the Xbox. But I remember as Cal progresses as a character, he gets stronger. You get more abilities. You feel like a fucking boss at the end of it. Like you feel powerful. And
Do you feel
then
like Darth
going.
Vader?
Well, I can't really go into sort of spoiler territory, but you do
I was
feel.
not being spoiler territory. Feel as
Nah, but
powerful as
there's a
Darth Vader
part.
until he picks up electricity and dies.
Nah, there's a bit at the end where you might fall into a false sense of security that you do feel like that, but you very quickly don't. But yeah,
did you get called to the dark side, Darsh?
nah,
The Darsh
not
side.
me. I'm the Darge Knight. I'm a beacon of light.
I'm glad
I'm
that Chris
always.
was beckoning there. I thought he was. I'm going to say tickling his chin. I thought you were tickling his chin, but
I thought he was tickling something else.
yeah.
But,
I went chin
So
first,
anyway, when we pick up with this one, obviously you go back in. There's still upgrade system in there and skills to unlock and stuff like that. But there's more variety. There's more saber varieties in this, which is good. And the story's good. I mean, I said to you in the Discord, is short. But I didn't realise I had quite a good session on it on Sunday, and I'm like 25 hours in, and I'm not like one of those guys because you get these things in the game called rumors. So when you're on a planet, you'll see like on the map rumors, and if you go and talk to one of the NPCs in the game, they'll go, "Oh, we heard this," and can send you off. It's optional if you do it or not, but it's all just been beelining the story. And
You get rumours in Skull and Bones.
Rumors. It's hard to get away from rumors, mate. Trust me, they spread. But but I really like it. So obviously, like I said, I'm not a Souls player at all. I'm shit, and I have no patience. But this is like entry level. But then because you've got the 5 difficulty choices, I guess if you were a Souls player, you could go in fucking right at the other end and challenge yourself that way. But it's good. It's just good. And now onto the rant is like what fucks me off is it's Disney and Star Wars, something that I care about, and I really liked the first game, and I played it on the console, and I thought this is a good franchise going forward. You know, the Cal Kestis Jedi series, and the PC port is just Flush Jackson's there in the chat. He knows all about it. The PC port is fucking shocking. I mean, one of the guys, I think Chronic or Eradication, one of the boys in the Discord said, "Oh yeah, apparently it was like the worst PC port of 2023." And I was like, nah. I said, didn't The Last of Us Part 1 remake come out in 2023? And that was like getting memed all over the internet. And then I looked into it and I see the articles and I booted the game up. And like Dragon's Dogma, there's like frame pacing issues. But it's just so jarring. Whereas with Dragon's Dogma being isolated just to heavy NPC populated areas like Fernworth and Backbatal and places like that, from the get go with Jedi, it's pretty noticeable. And then Satama, he said he gave up on the game when he got to the main hub world because of it, and then I hit there, and it's just like, So anyway, that night I had the because when you know that there's a good game underneath it, and a few people had said about modding it, and I've not modded anything before, but I looked into it and.
Sorry, is that just the PC port? Is it? Because obviously the first one I played on Series X because I think dealer recommended it. Way back when. And that actually wasn't too bad on Series X.
No,
So
that's what I'm saying.
PCs being messed up.
I think EA have just done a fucking dog shit job, unsurprisingly, of porting to the PC. Because I played on the Series X and it was fine. I think it had the quality and performance slider, this, that, and the other. But on the PC, it was just pony. And so anyway, I found this patch. I've done a bit of research, and everyone was saying this sort of optimizes the CPU side a little bit better. And it's called "May the Performance Be With You." But what it does is, obviously, I don't know the modding game at all, but basically from Nexus you download, but it gives you like an executable file, and you boot that, and you basically have tick boxes of how you like where your system's at spec wise, roughly, how you want it to perform, and then hit it, and then it just does something in your game directory. Boot the game up, and literally it was like a switch had been flicked, and it was fine. There's a juddery moment. The boys in Discord would know what I'm talking about if they've watched me, which is when you in this game is like God of War, where you'll walk into a room and it'll cut into a cutscene, it'll blend, and there's like a momentary like a judder, like where it sort of lags a bit and then goes into it, like sort of freezes up a little bit. But that's a minor gripe. The fact that I've got the gameplay much tighter now, otherwise I probably wouldn't. I would have done what Satama done and probably just given up on it because it was that bad. But yeah,
I wonder if that XE is probably modify like the like an INI file or inf or something can.
It was an INI, yeah. It was an INI, yeah. So it was doing it on the fly, and I just got it stable and thought, you know what, I ain't going to tweak any further. I'm just going to move on with it. And
is it a lot? Yeah. Is it a lot more playable?
I put a tweet out. Not that I'm like a face or anything, but I put a tweet out about it, and a few people actually replied to me and said about the modding, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't even think about modding it. Like, what did you use?" And I was like, I told them what it was, and they were like, "Oh, sweet." And I think it's like, like obviously I'm in the PC circle now, you know what I mean? But the modding side of things is a blessing because these publishers and these big companies, they're quite happily. I mean, that game's been out nearly a year now, and I think it's had 7 patches. I looked at the Steam log, and I think it's had 7 patches. And these are not small time. This is a Disney IP. This is Electronic Arts. And they're only putting 7. They're just doing the minor work. So thank God for the mods. Otherwise it would have been some dead money. But anyway, back to the game. The game's great. If you could do it on console. Definitely. I think we were speculating that it'll probably end up going into EA Play through Game Pass.
Real soon, yeah.
Yeah, real soon. So I'd definitely give it a go. It's a good game. It's a good Star Wars game. You know what I mean? They're Star Wars is a bit of a weird IP at the minute. There's been some good TV that I've been told, but then there's been some shit films, and this is good. I like this. So
we can segue into Outlaws.
That's my Jedi. Yeah, that's my Jedi Survivor opinion.
We'll talk a little bit about Outlaws as well. But so my Jedi Survivor was more similar to Seismi's in that I played it a little bit. Really didn't get on with the performance. Also didn't particularly get on with like a lot of the time, combat's fine, but a lot of the time I was just looking around the environment to see what you're allowed to climb on. And that doesn't appeal to me very much. I don't know if that progresses and changes much as the game goes on. I saw a little bit of your gameplay solving puzzles by Jedi powering balls around or whatever it was. Jedi basketball you were playing, all wrong.
Yeah, so, that was terrible, wasn't it?
It was pretty funny to watch for the 5 minutes or so. But yeah, I didn't get along with the performance and didn't get along with the motion blur. Like, it was a horrible artifacting around the character when you spun the camera. So I might have to check out that mod and get back to it. But it was very, very easy for me to just go, well, this isn't perfect, so I'm going to put it to one side because I've got the EA Play subscription thing. So it was just there in the background rather than something that I bought. So when it does come to EA Play, which includes, it's still included on Game Pass Ultimate at the moment. EA did just raise the price of the service elsewhere as well. But for as long as it's there and come in, it's still a pretty cheap service. It's a good way to play it, isn't it? So let's talk about other Star Wars games, and then we'll talk about Outlaws. So, Darge,
yes, mate.
Are there any like Star Wars games besides these ones that you've particularly enjoyed in your entire life?
I liked I liked Battlefront for a bit, like when that came on the scene. That was fresh. That was nice. You've caught me like off guard. I'm not like I've never played. I spoke to Dave Mack. He's a big fan of the Force Unleashed games. And he was saying if I played them, apparently they're capped at 30 on PC. But he said they were really good games, but I never got around to playing them because I think they sort of came out when I was in my fucking Modern Warfare casual phase.
That's not what I was expecting you to say at all.
Nah. Well, what did you think? Did you think I was going to talk about the other? Yeah. Nah, I wasn't quite. I hadn't quite gone full Super Saiyan then. I was sensible. But anyway, yeah. So I'd never really played them, and then you go further back. There was what was the Doom like?
That's back to the Dark Forces.
Yeah, what was the Dark Forces? Yeah, I remember playing that on my good schoolmate.
They were great.
Yeah, my good schoolmate Gary, he had it on a PC with Lemmings. I remember he had Lemmings as well. But that Dark Forces, that was a good game. You know, my mind has gone a bit blank.
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter for me. I'm going way back into like the early PC days.
What was the game where you could? What was the game where you could target the AT-AT's feet and spin the ship random and make them trip?
Wasn't that on the N64? The Star Wars game.
I can't remember. It was a right old back, like Star Foxy looking one. Yeah, I think it was like that era. Yeah, that was another one. But I, you know, for me, I've not played. I know I've just thought because I disregard it because I never mention it. But KOTOR, I never played KOTOR. You know, I've never played any of them. So yeah, roast me in the chat. But like I said, I was a big FIFA Call of Duty player for the longest time. So I was quite looking forward to that remake. That looks like it'll never see the light of day for a little
remake.
While, anyway.
What are you talking about?
No, the KOTOR remake.
Yeah, I know.
Pro Evo remake. I look forward to that.
PlayStation to play it.
Patrick has very kindly got in on the Fallout hype and given us keys for Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout 3, and Fallout New Vegas. So whoever has had a little claim of them, do let him know. Patrick's always giving us little keys and things in our giveaway on the Discord.
Thank you, Patrick.
Awesome
well
job,
done, Pat.
Yeah. Chris, you wanted to talk about Star Wars Outlaws, and in particular, Ubisoft they've put their foot in a little bit of mess. Is there anything that you want to lead on to there on the Star Wars topic?
I think just before we go over, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter was fucking glorious, and I used to play it with a few mates, and we used to have serial cables to play multiplayer. That's how old it was, and then have like little network boxes and glorious stuff, and you can put the shields to the front and the back of the ship and stuff. And then obviously they tried to reintroduce a bit of that with Squadrons, but it just wasn't. It was all right, Squadrons.
Did you ever try Squadrons in VR?
No, it didn't actually.
Take your travel sickness tablets, play that game in VR. They keep on selling it for like £1.95 or something, and it is actually freaking awesome in VR.
Play anyway. I think it's on EA Play, isn't it?
That too. If you've got EA Play, it'll be on there. Yeah.
Oh, I'll try it then. I'll get me a Quest 2 hooked up and see what it's like.
It's well impressive.
Give it a go. Yeah, I'll give that a go. Yeah, obviously Outlaws. Where do we begin? I put a tweet out today because I just remember. I mean, this is something that's been happening in the industry for a long time, so I'm not giving Ubisoft a free pass or anything, but we've had all kinds of organizations, money hat and missions and add-ons and stuff. And obviously what I was trying to do is keep it within the Ubisoft family to say, look, Ubisoft have got a bit of a track record of this or allowing it to happen. And I referenced like Sony money hatting a couple of missions from one of the Assassin's Creeds, and it created good debate, which I like good debate. And obviously there was a few Sony defenders coming out and trying to make out that I was just doing it for a war, but I wasn't. What I was getting at is the fact that it's something Ubisoft have done before. Even Skull and Bones, there were certain things locked behind, like the deluxe edition and stuff. But I think there's like a different underlying kind of motion in Ubisoft for this, and I think what they're doing, because if you look at like a lot of the promotional material and stuff, they do talk about like the different versions, and it's 150 quid for this one or $120 or something. Goes all the way up to like really expensive stuff. But they constantly talk about Ubisoft Plus. Ubisoft Plus, you get the Ultimate Edition in Ubisoft Plus. Skull and Bones Deluxe Edition was in Ubisoft Plus. And we've already had like people from Ubisoft say, you know, gamers need to get used to not owning the games, they need to get used to subscription services and things like that. So the kind of skeptical businessman in me thinks if they start to price these editions into the stratosphere, then it's going to do is make loads of people go, well, I'm just going to play it on UB Plus. And I've even seen people on Twitter go, I'm just going to get UB Plus to play it. And whether they subscribe to it, play it, and then cancel it, that's their prerogative, a bit like Game Pass and stuff. But as we've seen over the years, people will subscribe to stuff. There's 3 of us here. And you just kind of go, oh, it's subscribed, it's in the background, and I'll play Jedi Survivor when it comes out, or I'll play this on it, or I'll play Anno 1800 or whatever. And you just tend to leave them in the background because the nominal fees in the grand scheme of things, and even if you want to try and justify it, you sit there and go, well, actually, I've paid like 30 quid on the subscription services, and it's still cheaper than a $70 title or whatever. So as I say, the kind of naughty skeptic in me thinks, is it just a bit of a tactic that will get people onto Ubisoft Plus subscription service, which obviously prolongs that. But in terms of like money hat and stuff behind editions, I'm not a fan of it. Luckily, I had and tend to have like all consoles. So obviously the game in question I was talking about was Assassin's Creed Unity, where like the Jack the Ripper arc was only on PlayStation. And Sony and Ubisoft made a big thing about it. That Jack the Ripper's an amazing historical character, which obviously it was all set in London, and it makes sense for that bit to be quite appealing. But it was completely exclusive to PlayStation. So if you're unfortunate enough to only have a certain console or PC and it's not on that favourable platform, then I always find it's a shame that people miss out on it when something's like money hatted. I'm not talking about exclusives, because exclusives are exclusives, and obviously you're always going to have first party exclusives. But it's those, even like with Modern Warfare and other things, it's like you've got the game and you can play the game like your mates, but you can't play this section of the game.
Yeah, Destiny always sucked for that as well. Destiny used to do a year of timed exclusivity for quite significant content, and I always hated that as well. You can make the argument for it, like that Sony paying. This is back in the day when it was Sony with Destiny. Obviously, they own Bungie now, and it's a bit different. But back in the day, you can make the argument like they're putting money in to make the experience better for their players for the same price. But from the outside, like as a consumer, it was just a horrible practice. Not a fan of that. Yeah, but the Ubisoft one's a little bit different, though, isn't it? Darge, take it. Go for it.
Yeah.
I was just gonna jump in there because if you remember rightly, Xbox in the 360 period when they had Call of Duty, if you remember, all the DLCs on
map
Call
packs.
of Duty were like 1 month, the map packs were like 1 month exclusive to Xbox, and 1 month. You know, people, that would have helped Xbox. You know, so these business practices. Like Ubisoft.
Tomb Raider being exclusive absolutely like nearly destroyed the reputation of Xbox.
I know, but they should have stood on that. They should have stood on that and said, what's good for the goose, good for the gander. But instead they bent the knee and now they're in the fucking, do you know what I mean? They are where they are. So it is what it is. But on the Ubisoft one, like Chris said there, I don't agree with things being locked away to certain ecosystems or editions or things like that, but it's what they do, isn't it? And like I said, the big play is the subscription model, because as we discussed in our community Discord before we went live, I'm still paying for Xbox Game Pass, and of the last, couldn't tell you, Lies of P, November, maybe, was the last time I played it. All I've done then is probably about an hour or so's worth of Forza, and about the same sort of time in Halo. but I'm still paying,
You'll be
and that's what
playing
they
Manor
want.
Lords, though, won't you, Darge?
Fucking, well, I don't know, mate, but probably. But I like supporting the devs. I like owning the game, you know. But yeah, nah, like I don't agree with it. But obviously, like Chris said, the play is to sell the other product. You know, sell you, like, give you a reason to want to sign in. You know, like Replicant said, you know, at least Ubisoft with the subscription model give you the ultimate edition of the game. You know, called
Mhm.
like Xbox at the minute, it's just a
But
base game. But then they put behind a paywall the fact that you can upgrade, do the early upgrade, and pay some money for the ultimate edition, and then you get access a little bit earlier. You know, but it's, you know, it's all subscription
Yeah, it's a little bit of
models.
it's a little bit of a different take on it, isn't it, and stuff. And obviously,
Yeah,
before we came online, we were having a chat about it. So I think this whole, just for a bit of context, this whole like, you know, there's like a Jabba the Hutt mission or something, and it's still
yeah.
Jabba the Hutt, and certain missions are still available in the normal game, but there's an arc, or there's a certain element, or an
Mhm.
extended mission or something that's available on the deluxe edition. Obviously, Asa, you've probably got a bit more detail into it, but
No, that's about my understanding of it. But my kind of question for it is, so this has been an issue. I think it was a Dead Rising game that was first one to really, like, not necessarily the first one to do it, but the first one to come under fire for it. There was a Dead Rising game from Capcom that had like some costumes or something that were sold as DLC, but they were already installed on the disc, and people noticed it because if you went onto the Xbox store and bought this
yeah, I
like costume
remember.
or whatever, it was like a tiny amount of data that it gave you to just unlock it, and people were outraged. They're like, this is on the disc, therefore I own it, so therefore I should have it, and you can't sell me this. And it's been a thing. It's one of the few things where consumers have kind of stayed resilient to it. People are still pissed when something is there and they're just not allowed it. But extra missions for extra money, is that actually so egregious? Like, if they had this Jabba the Hutt mission arc, and rather than include it in the deluxe edition, they just put it back by a month and charged you a tenner for it, would that be better or worse? Like, how should they be approaching this? What kind of content is okay to charge for in a deluxe edition?
But why don't they, instead of doing that, why don't they just package it up as DLC and do an expansion?
Yeah, I
Why?
think
That's what I just asked.
yeah, I think you're right
Well, yeah, I'm
on
saying
that.
I'm just saying, as opposed to tying it behind editions and having it in ultimate upgrades, why don't, instead of having, so you got your editions of game coming with extra things, why not, instead of doing that, yeah, why don't you just concentrate more on DLC packs? You know, instead of the editions. Ubisoft loved an edition anyway, you know what I mean? But like, usually the editions are like in-game items, not really so much, you know, story-based missions or quests or things like that. As for that gear, if you want to monetize that, hold it back, flesh it out a bit, add something else in there, and just whack it on as an expansion. It's just a quick
Yeah,
cash grab.
it was one of the things that like Rockstar did really well for GTA 4, wasn't it? Where it was like the Ballad of Gay Tony, and then all of those. It was like
Mm-hmm.
a proper. It was it had voice acting, it had mocap, it had, you know, each of those like DLC packs or whatever were kind of like 20 odd hour games inside, you know, the universe of GTA and stuff like that. So I think I haven't necessarily got a problem with that type of stuff. I think a singular mission or an arc. I think, yeah, I think you make a good point, Ace, or it's a good question. I think like reserving this whole like jab arc or something else. Obviously, we don't know the exact like full on details of how many missions it is or how long the arc is or any of that stuff, but reserving it, holding it back, and then releasing it as like a little bit of a mini DLC or a new arc or something. I think that would be easier to swallow than, and I think people are used to additions giving you some cosmetics or giving you some, you know, kind of little, you know,
Mm-hmm.
power ups or whatever. I think I got like the deluxe edition or whatever it's called of Dragon's Dogma 2 and kind of forgot there was a few things that you get with it. And it was like the first time I went into the inn and went, "Oh, I need to withdraw some ingredients that I put in." And I was like, what the fuck's all these? And I was like, oh yeah, it's all me, so it's all me kind of DLC that I've got or whatever, all me extras. Um, so I think people kind of get used to that for editions, and it's kind of optional whether you want all this fancy stuff or not. Um, But I think just such an iconic Star Wars character and things like that, and obviously until we fully know. But as I say, my tweet earlier was like everyone seems to be like really outraged by it, but the same kind of energy wasn't shown or hasn't been shown over the past months and years and stuff because it is something that has been in the industry for a while. But
It's one of those
it
like
just depends on what day people want to get controversial, isn't it?
yeah, it does definitely depend on that and how you want to approach it and how you want to see things. I don't like games being like divvied up into transactions. There's a lot of games that do it in other ways, timing aside, that will break up a game and try and sell you extra bits and pieces. And it's such a fine line on whether the perspective is like, this is a good thing and you're letting me buy a little bit more of it and I'm happy about that, versus like you're screwing me over and nickel and diming me. But Star Wars Outlaws, like the game that comes out, could categorically be freaking awesome, and I'm not going to say it's worth 70 quid. The value of games and what people are willing to pay is always like a dicey topic in general, but it could be worth what other games are worth, and maybe them selling like extra content, if it was just packaged and presented differently, could make a massive difference to the way people receive it. Do you think that the fact that people are upset by it, the fact that it has got some noise on the online space, do you think it's going to do the game any harm at all in material terms?
I don't think so.
I think
mean,
it's just
GTA in space, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna. It's Star Wars is like with Battlefront and all that as well with EA. It's like it's a huge IP, and it's like publishers are still willing to take the piss with it and see how much they can get away with. You know, like with Battlefront 2 and the cost implementations to finish that game. You know, it was basically saying you might as well get your hand in your pocket or you're going to spend the rest of your days having a go at this, you know. And that's because of the weight of the IP, you know, that they take the piss.
Mm-hmm.
But as regards to the people who have spoken out and said, no, this ain't on, you closing off a part of your game behind a paywall or a higher level entry point, it won't affect the game. I think the game will be fine. I think the team there, I've completely tuned out. It's the Division team, but massive. I went to say Motive, and that's brilliant, the EA team doing Iron Man. Yeah, massive. It'll be a great game. I have no doubt it'll be a great game, and it'll do really well. But like I say, you know, people need to speak out, you know, of things that they're unhappy with, instead of fucking damage controlling it and going, well, you know, like, and trying to justify these moves. They're all after your wallet. They want to get in your pocket and take every fucking bit of your money that they can get away with. So you need to smack their hand sometimes and say, no. A little
bit of your soul if they can have it, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got no soul.
Did you go to the Star Wars bloody thing in Disney World that it costs like $280 for a flimsy little kid's like pilot suit? Do you know what I mean? It's like you're right. They're used to just getting your money off you because it's Star Wars.
You're paying for it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just like looping real far back to when you said about it, encouraging people onto the subscription service, and a lot of people are saying that they're going to subscribe to the game, complete it, and unsubscribe, or all the rest of it. We are definitely going to start seeing more and more games with staggered content if that is how people start consuming subscription services. So that's just something to look out for. If that becomes a prominent behavior, which I don't think it is, because I think a lot of people, like you say, just subscribe and forget that they're subscribed, or keep it for the next thing that's coming, or all the rest of it. But yeah, Darge, I know. But a service like Ubisoft,
holy shit, I didn't realise that. Sorry. Or subscribe, play something, then go, oh shit, I didn't realise that's on it. And
that's on there, and this is just round the corner and all the rest. But Ubisoft has had some real sparse times on its subscription service. I'm a mug, and I stayed subscribed, and I was like, oh, what's on my monthly Ubisoft thing? I didn't even ask, actually. I forgot that it was there, but they emailed me to go, oh, thanks for staying subscribed. Here is a nice green theme for some Uno cards this month. Great, thanks, Ubisoft.
After you, aren't they?
Yeah, when there was a long period where they were trying to get you to play that roller dome or roller whatever, you knew it was kind of dark times.
Yeah, a Rainbow Six operator skin and an Uno skin. Like, thanks. I'm glad I forgot to subscribe again. Forgot to unsubscribe. Let's move on from Star Wars, though. Let's move on from Ubisoft, because we're actually running through the show at a pace now. We want to talk about Fallout. Patrick gifted a whole load of Fallout keys earlier on. Fallout is doing some numbers across various games, particularly number 4 and number 76, so the online one and the latest one. Darge, have you seen the Fallout TV series?
I watched the first episode on Sunday, I think, Sunday evening. Yeah, like as someone who's not really played, I know the premise of the Fallout, you know, like big nuclear catastrophe coming out there. I know. But yeah, so I get it. So I knew. I don't know all the different factions, but I know the characters, and this I'm learning about the lore of the game watching. But I watched the first episode, and really good. And obviously, in this Twitter day and age, you know, like people would damage control anything. But then when I started seeing the outlets coming out with glowing reviews for it,
how many Fallout games did you buy as a result of this TV show first episode?
So I put a little poll in our Discord to the community, and I said because Gamsley, this is how bad I am. Yeah, I played Final Fantasy 14 because you set up the thing in the Discord.
Did you play it for 2 hours, like you said?
No, I've put quite a bit of time. I'm like level 28 or something. Yeah, so I put a bit of time in it. And then Gamsley comes in and he's like, "How are you finding Final Fantasy 4?" I went, "That's all right." Like, and then he went, "Have you played remake of 7?" And I went, "No, I went 7's the only one." And we spoke about it for 5 minutes or whatever. And then the next thing, I bought remake, and it was in my Steam. And I was like, he was like, "Oh, you got to play it." But I put the poll because of Fallout. I said, "What should I play next?" And the game that I bought was New Vegas because my thinking with Obsidian games like the Outer Worlds and that, Bethesda is much like, from my experience with Starfield and stuff like that, like Bethesda's huge, whereas Obsidian's a little bit more scaled back, and there's no discredit to the Obsidian because they're great at what they do. You know, I really like the Outer Worlds.
That's like one of the best, wasn't it? New Vegas.
Yeah, so the story, yeah. So I said, should I start with New Vegas too? And yeah, that's the one that I got. And people started, so again, like going back to the subscription model, and people like me, I went and just got the key from Steam and bought it. And then everyone was like, "What? It's in Game Pass. Like, why are you not playing it through Game Pass?" You know, but that's a me issue. But
you like to support the devs, Darge.
I'll keep the industry alive on my own shoulders. I'll carry the industry on my back. But
it'd be easier if there was an option to tip at the end of the game, though, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, I'll tip. I'll tell you, some of the software that comes out these days, I'll tip something on them. I tell you, but they, don't even give me that Mike Ybarra nonsense in his mansion. But yeah, no, the TV show, really liked it. The boys and girls in the Discord, they've finished it, and they said it's brilliant. Spoiler free, obviously. So yeah, Dragon Ball Z now. I'm on Z, so it's like I'm torn apart, and I'm trying to play games. But I tried getting the missus on Fallout, and she went asleep halfway through it, so she's not having it. But yeah,
it's had a positive impact on game sales, though, isn't it? Is it like up 210 or 20%?
I don't know.
35,000 active players and stuff like that. It's flown.
All I know is they've announced a Game Pass perk today where you can have all Vault 33 cosmetics in the Fallout 76 universe.
I saw that little marketing image of the stuff that you can get. It was a Game Pass Ultimate perk, and you get these Fallout Vault 33 stuff, and one of them on there was like a potion to let you carry more weight. You get 3 of those, and I was like, consumables to get around being over encumbered. Do you know what? I'm never going to play this game ever in a million years. There's one marketing image. Uninstall. Gone. No, not having that.
Yeah, I remember Fallout 76. I don't know if Chris remembers. I played a bit of it and I signed up again to Fallout First, which I don't really remember cancelling, so I could still be paying for that. But I went into Fallout First because I want my private server. I don't want people raiding me and all this stuff. And I played a bit, and yeah, that was one of the things. Was like you paid with bottle caps to fast travel, and I'm a fast traveler, and you had to pay with caps, but it was like quite egregiously. You would get very little amount of them, and in the end you'd end up fucking walking everywhere. And then, like you say as well, the other, is it a cola or something that you take so that you can be a bit stronger to carry? Yeah, something. It was like, oh yeah, drink this and you can carry more. And it was just like, it felt like it was a very dangerous game for me to be playing. So yeah, I didn't play anymore. But they still got my Fallout first sub, so they did get a win out of me, you know.
They've probably still got your Valheim sub as well, that server, that German server.
Oh, I never cancelled that. So yeah, there's a server there for Valheim if anyone wants it.
We'll talk about it afterwards. Yeah, we could use that. I'm sure we could use that.
Darge is just making a note of all of these things that he's subscribed to and needs to cancel.
I could have had my hair stitched back in with the amount of subs I've done.
Chris, open up. Tell me about Fallout, TV show, games, whatever you want.
So I haven't. Obviously, I've seen that the TV show's done really well. I've not started watching it because I'm finishing Shogun off, and I didn't want to kind of disconnect from the ancient Japanese world to the futuristic nuked landscape. But yeah, definitely want to watch that. Hopefully get Amy into that as well because we're watching Shogun together. Fallout, great. I enjoyed playing it back in the day. I think it was just like classic Bethesda or whatever. As Darge touched upon, obviously Obsidian with New Vegas, which was obviously the reason why they got acquired in the end, wasn't it? It was just like a third party mod, wasn't it, or something? They done their like spin-off game. But yeah, no doubt I'll watch it and then go back and start playing it like everyone else is doing. So.
Well, they're patching it now as well, aren't they? So if you're playing on the console side, 25th of April, they're finally putting the next gen updates into all the games. But
like they did with Skyrim.
But the ball ache is, I was, again, someone who's never really played Fallout, I was looking forward to the Fallout London huge mod. I think it's a 40 gigabyte file for the mod. You know, London,
delayed.
London's a bit post-apocalyptic looking now, you know, but I was a little bit intrigued to see how that look, and lo and behold, that was due to come out on the 23rd, St. George's. Now, because the next gen patch is coming, they've just said we can't bring it out because it'll break. So now that's been delayed. So hopefully not too long, but I ain't getting my hopes up, you know.
So the next gen patch will come out and then they'll test it, make sure it's all right, and then try and yeah.
They said it could be. They said obviously they were quite like, you know, quite polite about it. They said it could be 1 day, a week. It could be even, but like the guy went, it could even be, you know, like a month. And I thought, yeah, all right, probably be more like 6. So we'll wait and see. Hopefully, I'm putting a 6-monther on it. So if it comes before October, that's a win for me, you know.
Right, that's all I got on Fallout. So those people that are in chat, tell us.
Ybarra.
Well, yeah, why not, actually? Why not have a little touch on that before we get into it? So we're going to talk about No Rest for the Wicked. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about Manor Lords a little bit. Maybe some Harold Halibut. Maybe not. We'll see how time goes on that one. But that's a little stop motion game. We can have a look at it, or we can not. We'll see how it goes. But for now, so Mike Ybarra, we'll start with that tipping conversation that you had, because I threw it in there while you were talking. But it's a little bit interesting, right? So Mike Ybarra, former super leader of Blizzard or whatever. Prior to that, Microsoft.
Xbox.
So Microsoft went over to Blizzard. Xbox obviously got a hold of Blizzard. So he went there for like a few days and then off he went again under seemingly slightly acrimonious terms because he's been fairly active slating them on the social media since his departure. But he said something that upset a few people. Not sure whether it should have upset a few people or not, so I'm going to get your takes on it. I'll start with you, Darge, because what he said was that it would be really nice if these nice expensive like $70, 70 quid games that we're playing had an option at the end of the game whereby if you really enjoyed your experience, you could tip $10, $20 extra. You could pay more for your game if you were happy with the work that they put in. Now, he's American, so he's from a tipping culture, but it got pretty much a fair amount of backlash all around from people that don't have money available to tip. Darge, what did you think about it as a concept?
The concept of it, I'm a roofer. I know I mention that once a week. My opinion is if I do your roof for you, you should tip me, but it don't happen. So, as we just discussed, or you mentioned a little while ago,
Is that on top of the money that they pay for you to do the roof?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
But well, this is what Matey's getting at, right? Because
No, I
obviously,
know,
like
I know.
Asa said, the price of the games these days, they've gone up. They've just gone up recently, and then sit there in his wherever mansion, with his Activision Blizzard stocks or shares money that he got from that acquisition and everything else, to then have this light bulb moment that he was going to tweet it out. Yeah, like absolutely, it got clapped back. Like I said earlier, there's a culture now in gaming where, like you said, with regards to Dragon's Dogma, for all of its brilliance, fiscal years are ending, projections need to be hit, this, that, and the other. Let's just release it. We'll sort it out later. That's the attitude with most of the gaming today. We'll improve it later, but just get it out. Lords of the Fallen was another one come out. We'll sort that out later. Why would you be tipping? I don't understand it. Like his theory.
What if this was the game that didn't do that? You get the rare game
that
doesn't come out a broken mess.
So it's the
Wouldn't you
one
want to
game.
pay the extra?
So then what I do when I'm dealing in an industry that I'm dealing in today, which a large proportion are doing what I said prior, if you get that one game that comes out and it hits it, and it's a great experience and everything, well done. You earned my 70 quid or whatever the payment is, because that's the standard. You don't then go, oh, you did your job, you released a finished product, have some more money. Like, no, that don't work. I'll do your roof, I'll make it watertight, I'll make it look the bollocks because I'm the best in London, but once it's done, I don't go, I've done what I said I'm going to do. You happy with that? Yeah, sweet. Can I have some more money then, please? And they go, of course not. So the argument is for Mike, he was in the industry, he's been involved, he's, don't you remember when the Activision Blizzard layoffs were happening and this, that, and the other? He was one of them who was like, I'm with you, this is terrible, I'll stand with you, I'm pro dev. And I'm not saying he's not pro dev, you know what I'm saying? Like, but at the end of the day, this empty tweet about, oh, wouldn't it be nice if, it would be great. Wouldn't it be great if there was world peace? But there ain't. So, you know what I mean? Like, what I see it and just dismissed it as someone, with no money worries, just talking bollocks, basically. Yeah. It's like someone, honestly, it's like someone like a Premier League footballer, virtue signalling to me about how what would be a good idea for me, and nah, not for me, mate. So listen, I'd be hard pushed to see someone who would go, no, he has got a good point. Like I say, when you look at the state of the industry and the state of software that gets released to us and tidied up over time, or like Jedi Survivor, not really at all. Why would you be giving them more money? And before you shut me down,
I'm not.
His argument was, when we play in these worlds that we love and these memories that we have and this, that, and the other and the blah, 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 but it's a £70 game. Dragon's Dogma, I love the memories that I got in that, but it still had frame pacing issues. So, it's just a dumb, like,
he could have been heroic if he would have gone, your game's free and depending on the experience you have at the end of it, you have
pay what you want.
20 quid, 40 quid, 50 quid, or your own amount.
Yeah,
Rick Williams has kind of nailed it there in the comments, because he's just said, like, if you make a good game, then we'll get the sequel. That's how we reward you. Like, we'll get your next one as well. Very fair point.
If that was the way it worked, maybe Xbox Game Pass, like, once you play Hellblade 2 with your subscription fee and it finishes at the end, it's like a little, like a little tipping box, like when you do an Uber Eats or something. It comes out and goes, can you rate this game 5 stars? Yeah. Would you like to tip the team? Like, everyone will go, fuck off. Like, I've done the game. I've just done it on my monthly pass. Like, let's get it right. Do you know what I mean?
That's
It's silly.
that's it though, because it wouldn't be a completely harmless option, because it would give people that reaction. You'd be like, oh, I had a really good time, and your takeaway experience from that game would be like, fuck off. And the last thing that you do in a game does stick with you.
More money.
But it is though.
Yeah.
But like, listen, I've said it time and again. People sign up to Game Pass. They're getting a whole suite of Microsoft first-party software. They're just gonna bought ZeniMax. They're gonna bought Activision. Everyone's like that, waving their hands, going, "Oh, we made it," because they're paying. Well, their price will go up because the monthly fee's definitely going up. Once it goes up, you go, "Oh, I'm paying £20, yeah, but I'm getting these games."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but would you like to contribute? Would you like to own the copy of the game? No, you're all right. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to spend money? Like, do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
So Mike Ybarra has successfully managed to outdo the ending of Mass Effect 3 for terrible ideas of the takeaway experience. Chris, did you have anything on this?
No, just echo what Darge was saying and what I said before. It's like, we could have had a different take and gone, let's go back to, like Pete reminded me of the good old days, let's go back to the freeware shareware model. Jump on your game, and depending if it's a mess, if it's an early access, if it's a mess this way, a mess that way, if it takes 40 patches to finish it, but you stick with it or bail on it or whatever, then yeah, have a little thing at the end to say how much you want to pay for it. And you can either go down the route of like, I'll pay £20 because it was, felt like broken DLC, or actually I'll pay £100 because it was the greatest thing I've ever played and I've enjoyed it. But to go, actually, we want you to pay $70 or $100 and then tip $10 to $20 extra on the end of that. He's obviously being
I see it.
Force.
I see someone reply to him and go like, instead of this empty-handed, as a community of gamers, like it'll be a great option for us. Why don't the publishers, when the game's finished and makes all this money, yeah, and they've got their development costs back and everyone's got their money, instead of taking their massive fucking shares out, or their massive payments they give themselves, why don't you go and sort the devs out? You know what I mean? Why don't you? And he's been in that position. Yeah, so I think it's Rich and my man sitting there going, I think it'd be a great idea. Use like who we all price rose the games because they're so hard to make now. They're really difficult, and we have to work so hard for you. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if you give us a little bit more money? You go, fuck off. You're having a laugh.
It'd be nice if you had done that when you were in that exact position to do that. You could have given your
he was a bit quiet. He was a bit quiet then. And I noticed as well, he's being double messy. And it's not like this is old Darge who's like, you say Xbox bad, I'll fight you in the street. You know what I mean? But he's big pro PlayStation, speaking out about subscription models. He's got a lot to say at the minute. You know what I mean? And it's like everything that he's saying is like a little subtle dig. And it's like, mate, you're fucking retired or whatever you're doing, crack on. You know what I mean? But that's about it,
You're right on the publisher. You're right on the publisher stuff though, because back in the day, obviously, we all worked our balls off on a series, and I think it ended up making Sony like 17 million in profit or something like that, and the team got a £700 bonus.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like we see,
and they'd literally been through crunch. Like, don't get me wrong, not like forced crunch. Like chosen, everyone was kind of staying behind, got fucking pizzas and all this stuff because we wanted to create like the best games possible. But at the end of all that, it was like, we smashed it here, and then your pay come in, and it was like £700.
What? It's bollocks. I think it's bollocks. Jason Schreier with his big campaign on crunch. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, this is the industry you're in. What I do, yeah. But if my man goes to me, right, can you get that job done today, and I'll give you some extra money, yeah, or whatever the implementations are, I'm going to do it, yeah? So there's a level of crunch in it. So these devs have knocked their bollocks out, yeah, building this game, and Ybarra thinks what would be a nice reward for them is if the punter looks after them. And then also, so let's just say, for example, you do go to, whatever, like say the Xbox thing, they give you an option to tip the game. How the fuck do you know that money's getting to the dev? So you're giving the publisher more money. You're going, you've done such a good job. Don't give the people who've done the job the money. We'll give it to the whistles, the suits, who are just going to just fuck off on their yachts, wherever. Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy,
Mike
man.
wants to build an extension on his mansion. Maybe he needs that 15th bedroom.
Mike needs to calm down, get a hobby, get off of Twitter for a little bit,
Get a hobby.
That applies to everyone. Everyone needs to get off Twitter for a little bit. Not the people that are already off, obviously. Anyway, no rest for the wicked. And I'm not talking about these execs and publishers and all the rest of it. The game that's coming out any time now. I'm still probably going to avoid it because I don't do early access. But Chris, you're massively looking forward to it. You promised that you could speak about it for the entirety of the show. Don't know how sarcastic you were being, but what can you tell us about No Rest for the Wicked?
I mean, it just looks glorious, doesn't it? Hand-painted style level, lovely weighted combat, a really good studio from Ori days. By all means, some of the previews and stuff like that, it's really well polished for an early access. And I'm just going to stream it into your VR headset and your eyeballs, Asa, so you can't avoid it. Everywhere you go, it'll just be streamed. It's like GameOn Arcadia YouTube channel will just have it on repeat. But no, it looks a sensational game. The previews have been quite positive. If that early access supports the dev, I know we joke about support the dev or whatever, but I think something which looks as finished as that. Obviously, it's going to have bits which aren't. It's been on my wish list, and I would have paid for it already if Steam allows that, but it doesn't. So I'll pay for it as soon as it releases.
Generally like early access as like the concept of support the dev with it and giving them their money before they finish their stuff. Darge, as a roofer, does anyone ever pay you when you're halfway done so you can get like a little look at the roof?
Mate, when I'm doing the job, I'll get a drawer up front before I've even got a scaffold up. You know what I mean? I ain't got I'm too busy paying all these subscription services. I ain't got a float behind me. I need a bit of payment up front. I'm going to get that scaffold and the skip up there for you. You know what I mean? But, support the devs. You know, like we've got differing opinions on early access. I mean, I don't listen, I've got my fingers burnt with the day before. At the start of the year, even though that was a bit
with the Sons of the Forest.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's pros and cons to it. You know what I mean? And with regards to this game, you know, like Chris said, you know, Moon do a great job artistically. Like it looks sick, and obviously it's going to be like people are making the comparison with Diablo and stuff like that. And I've tried keeping my head down with it so that when it's there, just go in without any conception of how, you know, someone like Ryan McCaffrey views the game or fucking, you know, the next man, Gene Park or whoever it is. So I just want to go in myself because I played Diablo 4 and I enjoyed it. I didn't finish it, but that's a me issue. But I did enjoy it. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting into this. But you know, like I said, I don't know if it's normal standard procedure, but the Steam page still ain't got a purchase option or you know, like a price or anything.
I think it's normal. I think
is it normal? Because I asked, is there like because well, I asked about it in our server and stuff like that, and nobody sort of knew what the price would be, and you kind of thought they'd announce what the price would be, you know, whether it's 30, 40, you know, like whatever it is. But that's just me.
So that's on the 18th, is it?
Yes, it unlocks in like literally in like just over 24 hours. So, but yeah, I'm going to get involved. And I you know, Moon, I really like the Ori games. Like when I came out of my cocooned Call of Duty FIFA shell, Ori was one of the first games I played, and the second one, I was getting confused. I think it's the Will of the Wisps or whatever it's called. The second one, I played that on the OLED, and they're like. artistically, yeah, they're on it, and I'm excited. I'm excited because they haven't just stuck to what they do. You know, they haven't just made Ori 3 or another Metroidvania type
Well,
game.
the two guys have said that they've always wanted to create this kind of like action RPG or whatever.
That's good, and I'm all for supporting the devs. If anything, I would say like a lot of early access types, like the day before, it is what it is. But you see other games like No Man's Sky and all these other games that they do get support, and early access is a great option for them. They can release.
Yeah.
Receive funds to then further invest in the game to progress further. I just don't. I
And
don't see
also
it as a
balancing and stuff like that. I think if it's a good dev that like wants that feedback from players who are used to that genre, used to their games and stuff like. Obviously, I mentioned Sons of the Forest. We jumped into that and stuff. If you play Sons of the Forest now, hell of a game that
yeah.
completed.
It was good on
Version and
day
a bit of
one, wasn't it?
polish and a bit of balance and stuff. Yeah, it was just the environment and stuff, just like the world building and that.
And you could
really
$35.99.
So that's confirmed from them, yeah.
For the early access period, a special introductory price. So it's probably $40.
And that's
when it
30
comes out.
quid. So it's about 30 quid. Yeah,
So
something like
35, I
that.
reckon.
So, I mean, look, I've done a lot worse with £30 in my life. You know what I mean? So if I buy the game and in a month's time it's dead, yeah, it'll be a
bought
killer.
that
But it's not.
shampoo that didn't work.
I bought that argan. I bought that argan oil that I was massaging in. I was told it was going to sort it out. I was going to look like fucking Andy Carroll. I was going to be like the next Andy Carroll. But yeah, nah. So anyway, listen, you decide what's best for you, Asa. You have your stance on early access. You're a massive Hades fan, and you're not going to touch that until Hades 2. Yeah, you're not going to touch that, and that's fine. You stand on
He
that.
told me in confidence he's going to buy it as soon as it's available. the technical test. He's going to
Actual
get it.
launch. I can wait.
But there's there's pros and cons. You just stick to your thing, and for me, it's like, obviously I did day before. Steam fucking came up trumps with that and refunded people for it, and you could just tell. But 30
you
quid.
were fine and thinking the day before, didn't you? You felt for that. This is the division. You felt for the division video.
I've come up for it big time. But anyway,
Did you also get early access to that blue box game as well?
Nah, not that one. But I 30 quid, yeah, for me is, I know from Moon, yeah, that whatever I've got there day one in early access, I'll have 30 quid's worth. But I will have a different perception of 30 quid's worth than the next person. And it's not for me to tell them if they're right or wrong. You get me? Because it's your own money. You decide what's valuable to you. And then if I say, well, I feel like I got my money's worth for 30 quid, and you go, no, you're wrong, go fuck off. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you ain't telling me I'm wrong. You know what I mean? It's my money. So I think early access is a good thing for the examples that we've said, like No Man's Skies, games like this, Sons of the Forest, where they can launch, receive the initial sale period and reinvest. And you do get those that don't reinvest. I mean, Power World, obviously, Power World got an update, like a raid. But like I said, I checked the numbers and they are slowly dwindling further down on Steam now. Still good for them. Like, it's like 70k, I think it was, or was it 30? I can't remember. But the point remains, when the dev teams start seeing the dwindling, will they just pull the plug and go, right, we had our moment, that's it, we'll leave it there now, But there are those that continue to support. So I think it's a good initiative. But yeah.
That was an interesting example because that developer's previous game, Craftopia, is still in early access, and they definitely did just completely abandon it in favor of Power World. So
you can understand. Yeah. You can understand. I don't condone it, but you can understand the risk reward of, because you need that one game to hit. Now, listen, the day before, if that wasn't the shit show that it was, if the city was a little bit more populated and the enemy AI had a little bit of responsiveness to it, you could probably make the argument that a group of people will go, no, I'm seeing something here. I'm okay to stick with this for the future. But because of what was there day one, everyone went, fucking give me my money back. You know what I mean? Then it was dead, you know. But with Power World,
Well, some people couldn't even get out of that first room, could they?
no, I kept crashing. Yeah,
and then they fell through the floor.
Yeah, it was carnage. But Power World, has over succeeded, you know, like massively, all thanks to Xbox, apparently.
Yeah.
But it's it's at this moment, it's a lot of money. You know, it made me laugh. I forget their name. What's their dev team called? Something like Play. I can't. Pocket Pair. That's it. Pocket Pair. Yeah. After this, like, you know what I mean? Like a couple of months later, they publicly come out and go, "Oh, we're open to being acquired." And you go, "I fucking bet you are." Do you know what I mean? Like, they've had the success of the game and they're going, "Fucking hell, all this money we've got." I'll tell you what, let's pretend we're actually something. But like you said, the other game, they just dropped dead. You know, that's the gamble that they're taking, you know? But yeah, aside from that, anyway, early access, I don't mind it. As long as it ain't a game that wants, like, silly entry money on the get-go, you know? But,
looking behind me, my steering wheel's haunted. It's just spinning by itself. I don't know what's going on.
I was going to say, I thought there was a ghost.
That's a sign that you need to be playing No Rest for the Wicked, Asa, on the early access.
Steering wheel, yeah, maybe. Speaking of No Rest for the Wicked, though, Chris, do you? I know Darge isn't particularly into Souls games. Are you into Souls games?
It's not that I'm not into them. I'm just shit at them. That's what I like.
Yeah. I'm asking
because I'm shit.
Because No Rest for the Wicked is specifically, it's a precise action RPG, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's difficult, but people always conflate difficulty with Souls-like as well. So just wondering, like, do you do difficult? Is that appealing if it's just really hard?
Yeah, I don't mind. I like the, I think we touched upon it a few weeks ago or whatever, like the idea that you can clear like an area and then a different type of enemy is moved in for a different challenge and stuff. Obviously, some of the content and previews, people were talking about you can kind of just walk into an area and just have like a one-hit kill out of nowhere and stuff like that. But I mean, it's really appealing. It looks good. I like the weighted combat idea, where it's like genuine weighted combat, so you can't just like button bash and stuff. You've got to take into account how long a certain weapon will take to swing and stamina and stuff like that. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm brilliant at Souls games, but obviously don't mind those type of games, or the Metrovania type games or whatever, where you've got to backtrack and things like that. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Good. Dargie's having a little giggle. What we're going to do then, because I don't actually know, it's like very handcrafted and all the rest of it. I think it has an element of procedural generation as well, doesn't it? That doesn't make sense. Those two things don't go together. Losing my mind. No Rest for the Wicked looks really good. It has rain in it, which means it satisfies the most important item at the top of my checklist. Like, harsh weather makes all games better. So I will definitely get that, but I'm definitely intending to wait until it actually comes out. The only reason that I break that little rule for myself is if I need to make a video or something selfish like that.
You need to make a video on it.
Do I though? I need to make videos in general, and I'm going to very soon. It is back on the agenda. The Gaming Arcadia channel is going to get all kinds of gaming videos very soon. But they do take me a while because I'm fussy like that. I want to talk about another game though before we wrap up with the questions, because Chris, your most anticipated game for a little while now is coming up soon, which is Manor Lords, and I reckon a lot of people, as games go, don't know so much about Manor Lords. So you are a marketing guy. No, you're not. You just tell me a bit about the game and why you're looking forward to it.
You're a lord of a manor. That's it.
Perfect.
One-liner. That's how you sell stuff.
Best value in games.
Yeah. So I mean, it looks an incredible RTS. I mean, the world building and stuff in it looks really good. You can obviously create little factions or little levels of army, so it can be like kind of trained peasants, and then you can start creating soldiers and stuff. And then I think it's got like a little bit of a civ element to it, so you've got like a much larger map that you need to kind of take over. So I think all the elements, I think the strategic element, I like the appeal of the kind of strategic battles that
The
you can
weather?
have. I think the formations and stuff like that, and the world building. So it's just, I think for well over a year or something, it's been on my wish list, and it's had like a really nice appeal. And obviously we got told this week that it's coming to Game Pass, so a nice little win for the devs or whatever. Obviously we've heard some developers really kind of champion Game Pass and say that the game got the audience it needed because of and so on and so forth. So I think that's a good it's a good win for the devs to be on that. But yeah, I'll definitely pick it up on Steam, give a little bit of support and stuff. But I just think the craft and everything, as we can see on the video there, the craft and all of the various kind of like
you do
games
subscribe to Game Pass, don't you?
I do subscribe to Game Pass, yeah.
Well, like it's kind of like you just want to give them that little tip, right?
I want to give them the Ybarra tip, yes.
So, you want to own it, it's fair.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. I think it'd be, I mean, some people might not be arsed, but to me, I think it'd just be like a bit of an injustice that it's been in like my wish list for so long, and then I'm like, oh, it's on Game Pass now, do one. Do you know what I mean? So, and obviously they're going to see some money, but I do like Steam, like a lot of PC gamers or whatever. Steams you go to, I've got hundreds of games in my library and stuff like that. So, it'll just be easier for me to go click with one button purchase and in it goes. So, but yeah,
are you getting it on? Are you getting it on Steam, Chris?
I'm getting on Steam. I'm going to Ybarra tip them.
Fucking go on, son.
Get in there.
Where's Gamsley?
He's there talking to you all the time. He's there. He's always there. Manor Lords is coming to Game Pass. It does say on the trailer that they had 5 months ago, does also say coming soon to console. So if you are waiting for a console version as well of this game, don't know how well it will handle on a controller. I'm sure they'll figure something out. But yeah, it looks interesting. I'm definitely going to get on that as well. But I'm not ready to go buy the Steam version. I'm going to download it on Game Pass and play it there.
How dare you?
How dare I indeed? How dare I? Yeah, Manor Lords. I reckon what we should do, because we do actually I do try and keep this one. The publisher follows. So you are.
That's how I've been bought off. No, that's how enthused I am about it. It'll be like next week. It'll just be like a Manor Lords banner behind me. Just like...
be sitting on a Manor Lords chair. Yeah, like yeah, definitely. Let's do the questions, because we do try and wrap this one up in good time so that Darge can go to bed.
I'm all right. I'm good tonight.
Yeah, but at the same time, at the start of this show, you whined about last week, so
I didn't whine about it. I said to you, I can't. My body clock is fucked. So I said, I've got a coffee. I'm all right. Don't put it on me every week.
Stop shouting at me. I'm trying to do a podcast.
I'm not shouting. I've got a loud voice.
First question by for the win. FTW with a strong first.
I've got a good segue on this, funnily enough.
All right. Well, let's do... So, FTW's asked, do you think that Perfect Dark will be a live service game? I don't know if they have said that it is or isn't, but been curious since you mentioned Perfect Dark in the Discord, Darge. So, Perfect Dark, for those that have forgotten the story because it's so freaking long ago, I think the last we heard of it was about 2.5 years ago. It was announced that Crystal Dynamics was stepping in to help the initiative. All we've actually seen of the game was a CGI trailer like 100 years ago when Microsoft announced it. Way too early. Not literally 100 years ago, but a long time ago at the start of this generation, I suppose. Live service or not, they definitely haven't said. Darge. No, actually, because you've got a segue, so we're going to leave you to last. Chris, what do you reckon Perfect Dark is going to be if and when it actually comes out?
Fucking mess so far. Don't know, isn't it supposed to be a global warming game or something about environment or whatever?
Yeah.
They could have just remade the original Perfect Dark and everyone would have been really happy. Not just an up-to-date remake, but you know what I mean? There's still the same premise and stuff like that. It looks like they've got a bit mental. I think I mean, this is bringing so many memories back because you go back to when it was first announced and when the initiative were created, and it was like, oh, this is going to be Microsoft's Insomniac, and it was all this. It's gonna be this epic story-driven game, and oh my god, some of the narratives that used to exist with Carnage, weren't they? I don't know. I don't think it'll be a live service game, but I might presume it's probably going to be a one and done. But to be honest, I've lost interest, so I'll I'll hand over to Darge because he's got the old segue.
Fair.
Yeah, it's not really a like you know what I mean?
Now this is going to be perfect, smooth.
It's a
Hold on to
jokey
my chair, ready for
segue.
this one.
So, industry face and insider Paris Lilly has just tweeted out, "It's time," with the Perfect Dark logo. So maybe he knows something, but I doubt it. But he's just done one of those cryptic. Oh, I didn't mean it's ready now. You know, one of them safe bets where you go, "It's time." Not just yet. I didn't mean it's coming now. You know what I mean? One of them brave claims. I'm a bit with like I'm a bit. I mentioned it earlier because I thought, I wonder what's happening with the initiative because it's been a little bit quiet. And I checked their Twitter, and the last one of the last tweets that they put out was the 2.5 years ago, saying, "Oh, we're glad to be welcoming Crystal to co-develop the game with us." And then I put it to the Discord, and I said, "Like, do you reckon we're going to see something this year?" Because in my opinion, you know, should be really. I say we should be. But then I have the opinion that Xbox have announced stuff well too early. Well too early. Put them in the fucking mind's eye of the public, yeah? And the public want to know, you know? Unless it's a Sony first-party game and then they're more than patient to wait until it's ready. But I don't know, man. I'm a bit with Chris now. I'm a little bit... You know, it turns up.
You're right. It was announced so early that all the excitement's gone.
Well, yeah, don't get me on because he's in the chat and I can't be bothered. Yeah, but don't get me on Xbox's shortcomings. But one of them is messaging and marketing. I get why they done it because they were dry. They were dry and they were like, we've invested in acquisitions and we're building the team from the ground up and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then it's like, okay, when you're going to do it? Oh, you got to give us time. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't tell me yet then. You know, that's why we had help.
Advert before the show, though.
It's triggered me.
Don't knock them off.
Well, it was Sea of Thieves, and that's a multi-plat now. So as it don't count as an exclusive. But yeah, so Perfect Dark. I mean, it's like State of Decay. State of Decay 3 is something I'm genuinely really, really interested in and hopeful that they land it because the idea that's been there, I only played State of Decay 2, but I heard State of Decay 1 was, you know, another good experience. It was just execution was a bit short and a bit buggy. I really want that game to do well, but, you know, it was another one where they went, oh, you know, real life cinematic of a bird shooting a zombie reindeer, and you thought, fucking, yeah, we'll have a bit of that. That was about 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Or 4 years ago. And then you have silence, you know, and Xbox can't afford silence and questions around them at the minute, you know what I mean? So, well, apparently they're going to be on top in 5 years anyway. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Perfect Dark, listen, I mean, Paris has done the skeptical.
It's time.
It's time. But if it is, it is. You know, if it's time, yeah, I want to see a nice length of gameplay.
I've heard that nice length. I've heard that all Paris is doing is just playing the old Nintendo version, and that's all he meant. It was time for him to boot that up.
Probably, but it's the same. It's the same with Fable, yeah. So we got the original reveal, you know, the fairy getting eaten by the toad.
I do have full faith in Playground, though.
Oh, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, I don't want Xbox to get into a position where they constantly keep showing me little snippets of gameplay with a CG, you know, rendered fucking cut like with Richard Ayoade every time. I want a full blown sizzle reel of gameplay, you know, and to build the hype. It's to build the hype, you know. Hellblade, no offense to it, looks incredible, yeah, but look at the game. It was like, oh, you know, she's staring in at a puddle, and you were like, hey, what's happening? Like they were just playing you a cut. You was like waiting. You was like, get ready, everyone, because it's going to kick off in a minute, and then it'll be like Hellblade 2. You're like, what?
You did get your sizzle reel for the day after, didn't you? And the one that sold it for you is them little trucks going on a little muddy drive, wasn't it? And let's go to the house, and we're gonna.
Hey, listen. The day before,
fakery.
The day, well, you know, listen. Times Square had it up there. IGN got duped by it. Everyone got duped by it. You know, and as we know, I suffer with FOMO. You know, I don't want to get left behind. That's my excuse.
Like on the question, last thing on the question though, the term live service gets thrown around as a very scary thing, but actually it is quite broad as well. So people think live service is going to be like Avengers. It'll be terrible. There'll be microtransactions and reputation grinds everywhere, and it's not necessarily true. A live service game is just any game with like a kind of monetized tail. Perfect Dark hopefully still has a multiplayer component, and if it has a multiplayer component, you can bet your ass that that's going to be monetized over time, because when are they not these days? So hopefully the single player campaign thing stands alone and is a contained story, doesn't have loads and loads of monetization or anything along those lines. But I do expect some on the multiplayer side, as long as they do one. And the multiplayer for Perfect Dark Zero was actually pretty good. I quite liked it when that came out. Just simple things like the opposing team always being red from your perspective. That was a nice touch.
Have they announced if it is first person?
Oh, I can't remember what they've said about that.
I've got a feeling it's UE5, isn't it? Developed, so obviously it'll be 30 frames. And it's
compilation issues.
sorry, but I mean the original Perfect Dark's first person, weren't they? You know, and I kind of got the feel, I don't know, that they were kind of going to go for the third person.
GoldenEye engine, wasn't it? Or like
yeah. It was like for like, but I'm saying I don't know whether they're gonna go for a third person perspective. Fuck knows. We don't know. We can speculate forever, couldn't we?
The old ones used to pull to third person for taking cover and rolling and stuff like that, didn't they? So they did have a blend, which they might stick with. But long peak question, see chat. So we're going on to the next one. I might have already missed it. Let me have a little scroll.
No, I couldn't find it.
Okay. No, it's here now. Harold Halibut, a multi-platform indie game, went live at 2 p.m. today. It appears to be priced at 30 quid on PC, Steam, and PlayStation, but it's day one on Game Pass. Is this because, one, the devs took some Microsoft cash because they didn't believe they would make much on the Xbox or PC store royalties, or two, Microsoft offered them a great deal which went a long way to covering their costs and other sales are a bonus, or three, something else? So, I think the question mostly boils down to, do you think that if they hadn't taken a Game Pass deal, the game would have sold reasonably well on the Xbox platform? Is this this is the only way to make money on Xbox, or is it just a good deal? Did Microsoft pay a good amount?
I mean, the answer would just be fuck knows. Like only they know why they've taken.
I think I think Game Pass is this is one of the beauties of Game Pass, is the sort of indie sort of scene. You know, if you can guarantee, you know, quote unquote, a bag, you know, of money before the game's even launched, I think it's good. It's good for them, depending on what the deal is like. But then obviously it's releasing on Steam as well. But also the beauty of Game Pass is the audience. You know, obviously if it's 30 million people or whatever, and just say every one of them has a little look at this, if there's something there, then all of a sudden, like Helldivers or something, you start seeing the trending topic. Obviously, this ain't going to be Helldivers, it's a narrative game. But what I'm saying is, it can trend in that way. So I think that is a good thing for Game Pass, is the indies, you know, getting some finance locked straight away while still selling elsewhere. And then it also gets a broad set of eyes onto it, you know. But like I say, I'm just looking into it now, and I didn't know nothing about it. To be fair,
it looks cool. It looks really good. Not necessarily like a game that I'll enjoy playing, but it looks so like it's just unique in its stop motion style.
was it something Mr. Fox or whatever, George Clooney? Kind of like
Mhm.
that.
Right.
motion,
Is it
isn't
point
it?
and click? Is it like a point and click game?
Well, it looks like the game might be kind of like that style.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
Or
point
it
and click,
might-
especially not with a controller in your hand, but it might be. The only thing that I'll say on
might,
Pete's question, though, just specifically on the Game Pass deals, there was a period of time a few years ago when Microsoft were paying a lot of money to indie developers, and it was known as a good time to get a Game Pass deal. That supposedly various people have come out recently and said it's not quite like that anymore. Like, one, Microsoft are less bullish on Game Pass in general in terms of how much they can afford to spend on it versus how much it is or isn't growing. But two, they're also in a position where developers putting games on Xbox kind of need that Game Pass thing to know that they're going to make a bunch of money. Harold Halibut has been in the works for a very long time, which means that this deal probably came to fruition back when Microsoft were paying a very good bag to get games onto Game Pass. Otherwise, they'll be kicking themselves for waiting.
In regards to, you know, people coming out saying it's not as good as it was and this, that and the other and the blah, 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 do we have actual data to show what is? So because obviously the big marketed message of Xbox's Game Pass was, oh, we notice you put your game on here and it actually leads to more sales. And it's like, fucking, that ain't happening. Like, people are playing the game and moving on to the next game. There's no one playing a single player game, beating it, and then going, I'll tell you what, I'll buy that. Like, do you know what I mean? You've done it, yeah? So what I'm saying is these people are coming out going, well, it weren't as good as it was. Are they the people who thought to themselves it was a good move for them that didn't work out as a good move for them? You know what I mean? It's like, how can you really know what's a good deal for one developer ain't a good deal for another developer?
I think the one person who's really open about it is Mike. I can't remember his name.
Mike Rose, yeah.
Sorry, that's one. Where he's consistently released their games on Game Pass, and he's come out and shared figures and stuff like that. So I think the one thing you're gonna get is like an audience. Do you know what I mean? If it's on Game Pass, odds are someone's gonna go, that looks really good. It's got loads of accolades and awards, and if you like that type of game, you're gonna jump. You're gonna jump on it, have a little look, and have a little go. And I think Ace is right. I think that was probably a deal done a while ago. It's a unique looking game, so it's got some appeal. And I think even I think a couple of weeks ago, someone else came out and said actually Game Pass has really helped them like reinvest and things like that. So
it's
unless
definitely
you're part
like
of the deal and you can.
The best thing that we get from these platform holders and publishers is they do pour money into things, and Microsoft poured a lot of money into a lot of indie things. So that you'd expect that to slow up a bit now that we're expecting their first party offering to carry Game Pass a bit more. Like naturally, like with Sony and their games this year have all been money-hatted games. They're pouring money in to compensate for a lack of first party, and that's what Microsoft were doing with Game Pass. So regardless of whether it's growing or not, yeah, Pete, I think they've probably done all right on this one. Hopefully, anyway. So. Let's have the next one, please. And whoever I interrupted then, if you want to carry on, please do.
No, I was just gonna. All I was gonna say is like those people who say it weren't really a good deal for us. Because obviously when you're getting your game on the service and you've got 30 million users or however Microsoft sell the dream to you, there's always a chance that your game just don't get picked up. You know, and it's not enjoyed, and then it doesn't trend, and no one's telling each other about it, or, you know, this, that, and the other. And then whenever it is sold anywhere else, it doesn't sell that well. And then they go, well, it probably weren't really worth it going on there in the end. And it's like, well, it's all well and good in hindsight, isn't it? You know what I mean? But it's just the way it goes.
They would have got a decent amount of money off Microsoft to put it on.
Yeah. I think. You know when they're thinking is though, you know when they're thinking is like, we're going to go on Game Pass, have the Power World effect, yeah. We're going to go into Game Pass, and the whole world's going to want us, yeah, because it's going to blow up on Xbox and Steam, yeah. It's going to blow up, and we're hot shit, yeah. But what I'm saying is, there are games that will go into Game Pass and get sold the same thing. You got 30 million people, doesn't have to be online or not, but the fact that it can take off in the service and it be publicising the game further. And you think that's the dream. But if it doesn't lift off, then all you've got is the bag, yeah, and no further hype on. You get me? So it's like it works for some, it don't work for others.
I reckon Palworld are probably the most bitter Game Pass recipient deal of all of them, because that game was going to fucking fly without Xbox's help on Steam.
Yeah, true.
Because survival games just do that, and that game did. And obviously, the Xbox Game Pass marketing effect is quite hard to quantify, and there was one. It did spread it around social media more, but they got like, I don't know, 10, 13 million players, what it was on Xbox, and probably got like 40 quid for all of them. Their Game Pass deal, unless they had some kind of engagement metric bonus in there, there's no way they got anywhere near enough money to cover the number of people playing it like that they would have got if they just sold it on that platform.
Yeah, true.
Hindsight,
that.
like you say. Episode 13.
Outrageous.
We're going to be real quick now, Chris. We're going to whiz through these last ones because there weren't that many. Episode 13 is asked, as Asa absolutely loves stealth, do you think that Splinter Cell will ever be brought back to life? Episode 13, they've already confirmed that like a year or two back. So unless it was one of the cancelled projects from Ubisoft, yeah, they're rebooting Splinter Cell. Was CGI teaser trailered, confirmed, is happening. And I'd be surprised if that was one of the ones that got chopped. But Ubisoft did chop a bunch. More appeared while we were talking. Well, we'll do two more questions then. So as there are more, I'm just going to gloss over this one. Unless either of you think that game is like cancelled and want to say no, we'll go straight on to the next so we can get them through nice and quick. Palworld wasn't the first game from that studio on Game Pass, truly.
It's too big of a brand, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, it's too big of a brand for Ubisoft to not reboot it.
That's a game
definitely cancelled a few surprising things. Like EA managed to cancel The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but that's not an owned IP, is it? Like they obviously had to do a deal for the Mandalorian IP to do the deal, and they've probably gone, yeah, fuck that. Whereas Splinter Cell, Ubisoft should have done this a long time ago. And like I say, we spoke on it earlier in Discord. if Xbox want to grow their numbers, they'd have to lock that down, exclusive to Game Pass for a year or whatever, or just to the Xbox platform for a year, because everyone, not everyone, but you know what I mean, that is a well-loved franchise, and that will do well for them, you know. But we'll see when it comes. Ubisoft are busy, aren't they, right now?
I hope so. Let's have the next one, please. So, can there be that many cowards and wankers in the world to support Splinter Cell? Apparently so. Stephen Southwick, subscriptions like Game Pass make you try more games, but be less inclined to finish them. Absolutely for me, Stephen. Back in the day, if you bought a game because you had to buy a game, there were obviously less games around and less access to them. You damn well played it, and probably found a lot more. Like once you get through those rough edges because you bought that game and you want to play it, you probably do a better job of finding the good in those games that you got into, rather than now when I'm like, oh, slight performance drop, play something else. Oh, straight away, like not enjoying this, play something else. What about you two? Would you say your gaming habits have changed dramatically in that sense? Would you have played games for longer before subscription services?
I mean, it depends. I agree with you. Just quickly, I agree with the subscription services make you try things. So I do try things more that I may not have played. And Game Pass has been good for that. But I think I'm still, a big gamer at heart. So if something comes out and I want it, I'll pick it up and I'll put my time into it, as I'm doing with Dragon's Dogma at the moment, and I'm sure I will with Manor Lords, and I have done with Skull and Bones. I mean, that's the interesting thing for me over the past like 6 months or whatever, is I've put tens of hours into Skull and Bones, the same into Dragon's Dogma, and I'll probably do the same with Manor Lords and No Rest for the Wicked. So I'm putting more dedicated time into each of the games, and obviously one of those games was a live service game, which would be really enjoyable. So I think it does help you try new things, but I think if you are a gamer, you'll play stuff that you want to play anyway and buy it.
I don't. No. To be fair, we spoke about it earlier before we came live on the show. Like Xbox, I haven't really done anything with Game Pass, for months.
But subscription services just in general, or like?
Well, I don't. I mean, I'm subscribed to everything, but using them, like, I don't. I can't even tell you the last thing that I watched on Netflix, and I'm still paying for that. You know, I'm fucking carnage. But I don't. Yeah, I don't really. To be fair, Game Pass for me is, you know, Hellblade will come out. I'll play that. Do you know what I mean? And I'll be like all the other Xbox diehards who don't support the devs and just get the game in the service. So I just like that's it. That service for me is Xbox first party, and that's it. Like with regards to the third party, listen, they don't do enough big day one third party stuff in the service. You know, like I said, Capcom. If they want to really do something, get Resident Evil 9 in there day one, but they won't because obviously the money would be fucking ridiculous. But they have Exal Primal, they have what's it, Path of the Goddess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Capcom have been like, all right, well, we'll give you these, yeah, because these are not like, you know, big, and the deal's probably all right for Xbox, but I won't go playing them. But Xbox need to get more big third party in there for me, like to really jazz it up a bit. You know, the indies are all right. Death's Door, however long ago that was, fucking hell, that was like when I was making YouTube videos. So that was like, you know, 3 years ago or whatever. Death's Door, I played that through Game Pass. But it's a good, so you get what you want to get out of it. You know what I mean? Like for me, I get my first party, you know, I get my first party games and I'm paying my whatever, I don't even know. How much is it a month for Ultimate?
Yeah,
How much is
some
it?
money.
14 quid? Yeah, well, whatever it is, I'm paying 12 months lot of that, and I get my first party games, and that's it. Like, that's fine.
Not answering the question though, Darge. Is it less inclined to finish them? Do you try more games?
I don't. Well, that's what I said. I don't. I said at the start. I don't. Yeah. So if I don't, I just play. I'm just saying.
Sorry,
you're calling
Chris,
me out. I get called out
to
every week. I said I don't, and then I went into the reasons why I don't, because I only play first party Xbox software.
You shouldn't have tickled the aqua scrotum. Come on, let's have the one last question. It's coming. I had a disconnect, so here we go. Last one that we're doing for today. What is on top 5? Oh no. What is on top in 5 years? Can someone define win conditions? And can I be the referee? Yeah, I'm assuming that's a football question. No, go on. This is related to Gamsley's antagonistic play in the Discord. Yes, Tom, I'll be the adjudicator, the referee, but Darge, take the question.
So me and Gamsley have been at it in the Discord. You know, not Twitter levels. You know, nicely, like a little bit of flirting. Gamsley seems to think Xbox will be on top in 5 years, but then Gamsley then stipulated after his bold claim that he's talking about revenues and money. I don't give a fuck about money, because I said to him, it's all well and good them having you know, huge profits, but it doesn't mean that that's going to get reinvested in gaming. You know, so I don't care about your corpo celebrating. Yeah. So my argument with him was, in 5 years' time, I forgot to stipulate this, but in 5 years' time, one of two things will happen. Yeah. Either day and date will stop because it's unsustainable. Yeah. If the numbers aren't growing. So Call of Duty is going to be the next guinea pig to go in the service to move the needle. Yeah. If that doesn't happen, either day and date's going to go. Yeah. Or your monthly subscription's going to go up. And I reckon your monthly subscription's going up by the time COD goes in there anyway. So think about it from Xbox's point of view. Yeah, they're either going to put their prices up on their service, yeah, whilst trying to draw more people in that they're struggling with. And if COD doesn't do that for them, yeah, they're going to have to start charging you for their games. Like, it's as simple as that. You know, I said the other day, Microsoft supporting Phil and Team Xbox now, there's a negative side to that, which is more investors, more shareholders, more people to have to answer to, more people getting involved in what happens. You know, it's all well and good going, oh, Starfield, you know, Bethesda, it's their new IP, like, it's going to fucking do bits for us. Yeah. But did it? You know, where do they come out? I mean, data. You know, Gamsley's in the chat giving it data. They're data driven. Data. Where's the data? Where are they releasing the data? Oh no, it turns out they said it on their own podcast. Well, they ain't going to condemn themselves, are they? You know. So anyway, that's what's going on. Who's going to be in top 5 years' time? I'll be on top in 5 years' time because I'll still be playing the games one way or the other. And Gamsley will be there with his ledger paper trying to work all the numbers out on which corporation's doing what. So
if this is how it plays out, if one of you is obsessing over accountability margins and trying to figure out what that means in 5 years' time and the other one is playing games, the one playing games came out on top, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be dead in 5 years.
GTA
anyway,
is
so it won't matter. It'll be void.
Then you won't be on top. GTA,
I'll be underneath.
GTA 6 will be printing money.
Yeah, but GTA, we said that earlier. Like we said about what games would really move the needle. Yeah, but like, how much is it going to cost for GTA 6? Right, how much is it going to cost? And the thing is,
£1,000 a copy. Base copies are grand.
Whatever it costs. But what I'm saying is, whatever it costs, if they put the game on there just as Game Pass exclusive, whilst it can still be acquired elsewhere, yeah, that's a fucking massive risk to invest and go, no, let's get this tied down to Game Pass exclusively because this is going to swing it the other way. If it don't swing it the other way, heads will roll. Do you know what I mean? So it's the gamble. They acquired Activision. So they have ownership on Call of Duty. They haven't had to lay out, well, they have had to lay out to acquire them, but they haven't had to lay out a deal for a one-off. Yeah, so they want to make this the home. I don't, Chris.
They also wanted the mobile market, but
yeah, but we said, Chris, innit? You have the opinion they're just going to throw Call of Duty in there. They may well throw Call of Duty in there, but if that needle don't fucking swing up, they'll soon charge you for it. I can see. Me and Asa was talking about it the other night when Asa said, no, they've specifically said Call of Duty is going in. Yeah, we'll wait and see.
Because they can make loads of money on it. It fits their narrative because they can just make so much money on Call of Duty with all the extra packs, add-ons, and so on and so forth. So it's a money maker. Like,
so you think you think
I think
Xbox?
the biggest thing. No, I think the biggest thing is Sony don't have the marketing deal anymore.
No, I agree. But we said this time and again. Like, Xbox won't market it. They'll just assume, like, Activision will market the game, like, because they're a self-run entity.
It's all changed. You got
but
Game Pass adverts right at the start of the stream.
Every console, every COD, because every COD advert will be Xbox. Every console box will have COD all over it. It'll go into Game Pass and be like, yeah, you can play for free and then you can buy all this stuff. But
I just listen, mate. I've got my reasons to have faith in Xbox.
Calm yourself.
I've got no faith. If anyone can get Call of Duty and make an absolute pig's ear out of it, it's Xbox. So we'll wait and see what they do.
Like, regardless of like the Game Pass thing, all I say on the Game Pass thing is they confirmed that it's going in there with words. So if it does not, then they have bold-faced lied in front of everyone and they will get called up on it. But it is going to score 6 out of 10s in the reviews. It's going to be the first Call of Duty.
Who cares? This one. No, but this last one, Modern Warfare 3 that I bought, this was getting fucking 4s out of 10s. Yeah, so it don't matter. Call of Duty is its own thing. It doesn't rely on review scores. Like, it will still sell. And Gamsley's saying, yeah, I'm going to lose. It's going to be interesting. He's very little angry. He's only
you know what?
Chris.
I disagree with that last sentence. I don't think it's remotely interesting.
Who said it was interesting?
Me.
It's not where.
Oh no,
it's going to be interesting.
No, but I personally think Game Pass is going to have a massive shake-up within the next 5 years, and Gamsley seems to think Xbox are going to be on top of everything. But we'll wait and see. It's fine.
Brilliant. Fine. Did Patrick yell a question in there yet? I gave an exemption to Patrick because Patrick question didn't come through and he deserves a question, but I don't think he has the old one. So what we're going to do is wrap up the show from there. I'm sorry for letting it run late. I hope you get a good night's sleep anyway. Chris, tell everyone, where can they find you? What are you up to?
Usual place on Twitter, and then obviously back on here next week. I will be in Bamon, Batal, I will be continuing to pour in the hours into Dragon's Dogma 2 for the foreseeable future, or until GTA 6 comes out. Just play it forever. Yeah,
Good.
I want to say thanks for everyone dropping in, asking questions, dropping by. Obviously, we've got the best community, and we've got some proper loyal individuals who like to get in on the action. So yeah, thanks a lot for dropping by, everyone.
Good. Thank you, Chris. Darge, same for you. Tell people what you're up to, where they can find you.
I'll be playing Jedi Survivor modded on the PC and finishing that. Then I'll probably go into New Vegas. You can find me on Twitter at Darge Knight. And you'll always find me virtually all day in our Discord, which I cannot praise enough. You know, we was talking to Chronic and a few people, you know, and these guys are all obviously separate supporters of yourself over the time that you've been doing your streams and that, and I didn't know them from Adam, you know, and apart from a couple like Tony and Patrick, you know, but we're in there now. Before we went live tonight, we was in the stream and there was about fucking 9 of us or whatever in there, and we're all just good mates, you know, and like we're all talking, like obviously me and Gamsley, you know, we have a muck about, you know, this ain't serious, you know, but we're all in there, we're all streaming, we're all playing separate games, talking. We've got some new people, Skill and Panache. And oh bless, I forgot his last name, Gringo. I forgot his fucking
Gringo
last
Star.
part of his name. Gringo Star, that's it. He's he's a new one, and like Satamo's in Germany, you know, we've got Americans, you know, we've got all types in there, and we're all just in there like playing video games, talking video games, leaving all the bullshit for Twitter. And it's great. Like, I love it. Every day I'm waking up and I'm just banging away, chatting with people because there's always someone up. So, yeah, if you ain't, and thanks everyone who's been here. I see the numbers are going up and down. There was a few people about tonight. Thanks a lot. I do appreciate, or we all appreciate, like you being here every week, chatting with us. You know, it's appreciated. But try and get into the Discord, have a look, see what it's about, and just get involved in the wider community that Ace is building, you know. But other than that, you'll have to wait until next week and then see me here again. I'll leave it there.
Gamsley's just super chatted for your change of underwear when you lose. What I think we can do, though, because we've agreed that this is a 5-year ban.
I don't wear underwear.
Thank you, Darge. Let's set something in the calendar for 5 years' time and just not talk about it again until then.
I said see you in 2020. I said it.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's all right. FTW has given us 3-month membership milestone thing. So FTW, thank you again for that, for staying subscribed for that long, supporting, because it does help. It lets us put on these podcasts, and hopefully that's worth something. It just says great podcast. Keep up the good work. So that is the plan. Darge, before we wrap up, you mentioned the Discord. You reminded me of the contest that we forgot to mention again. So tell us when the draw is for.
Well, so the game that I'll be giving away this month is Zol, whatever, Tales of Kenzera. The Lost Crown, Prince of Persia, like, you know, Metroidvania type game. Looks really nice. And I like to think as well of all the devs that need supporting, you know, he's having a little go, so we'll look after him. So that's the game we're giving away. Same as the last one, which I posted on Twitter, the draw. So if you're a member of the channel, or of Twitch, or of Patreon of Aces and the Gaming Arcadia, you instantly join the Discord and you're instantly in the draw for the giveaway. And the giveaways are every month. So yeah, check it out. Like I say, if you want to just click the link for the Discord, I'm sure I'll put it in there. Come in there as a guest, have a little look around, see what we do. It ain't all just bullshit. Ain't like all these other Discords where it's got all the faces in the world but no one talks. You know what I mean? Everyone's in there trying to get a little earwig on a bit of gossip. You know what I mean? We're just in there playing games and just you know, just good community. So yeah, check it out, get involved, and if you do, I'll see you over there. And just one more thing, Asa. Just one more thing. When you see us out and you say bye, can I hear you leave us out with a evil containment wave, yeah? because you owe me one.
I'm not sure that I do owe you one, but you can definitely do that. So we are going to go now. You'll find me in that very same Discord. I'm on this YouTube channel most of the time. More podcasts. Q&A is tomorrow. Xbox Series podcast with Out There Gambly and Deadly Headley is on Thursday. Community gaming streams on Sunday. And I'll be around on my Twitch and Discord a little bit more in the near future as well. So all of them things are happening. That's it. We're out of here. Darge.
We love you.
No.